The Batfoot Podcast is starting in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome in, everyone, to the MLB Trade Deadline Live. You have Damian and David here. Matt will be joining us later because he is not a degenerate like us and didn't take off of work early to be here for this. But boy, oh boy, has it already popped off today. It started on Saturday. We had Tarek Skubal already getting traded. Just as we're getting ready to go live, we've had blockbusters like Adley Rutschman and Reed Detmers getting traded. We're still waiting on a lot of those returns, but it has been a crazy day so far. And as we're just about 3 hours away from the deadline, give or take, David, I know we right as we went live, Detmers happened, but what's your overall feeling so far on the deadline?
I'm quite happy thus far. My team is obviously buying. They've done a really good job, I think. We'll get into it. We have a ton of trades to talk about. Teams are going crazy. We'll try to get these live reactions in as we go. We perfectly timed it to where we've got the Detmers report. We have no idea what that trade's going to entail so far. So we'll get live reaction on that. That'll be fun. But it's been a wild deadline. This is one of my favorite shows all year. We'll hang out. We're going to hang out till the deadline. We'll hang out a little bit after, get those trades to trickle in after the deadline. Ton of big names have already been moved. Still plenty of guys still on the board. Cardinals haven't really traded away anyone yet. You know, you've got some other teams that are kind of, the Rangers said that, sold Josh Smith, and then they were like, actually, we're going to buy, but they approached Jacob deGrom about dropping his no trade clause. He said no. There's plenty of wild stuff going on right now. So we'll pull up the tracker and get the Cubs got Reed Detmers, Adam. The Cubs got Reed Detmers.
Yep. The Cubs did.
Chicago Cubs.
Reed Detmers. But let's start. I guess let's just start with the big one. Or do you want to go in chronological order? How do we want to do this?
I think since we're waiting on returns for Rutschman and Detmers to come out for those, we'll actually get those live. We will start, I was thinking chronological order. We got to go all the way back to, what is this? I got July 29th for the first trade kind of the deadline. So we'll start adding in additional trades because we got 3 hours. There's going to be some lulls here and there where we'll get into the live stuff. But yeah, everything that happened this morning will be a little bit further down. But once the Detmers and Rutschman trades hit with returns, we'll jump straight to those, I think.
All right. Well, let's jump back to July 29th then, and we'll kind of go through there. Some of these we'll not spend as much time on as others, obviously. So this one was our kind of first big interesting one, though, and that was the Angels trading catcher Logan O'Hoppe and relief pitcher Chase Silseth to the Texas Rangers in return for shortstop Angel Arredondo.
Yeah, this it signaled the Angels are going to sell, right? John Mozeliak got promoted. We've discussed that at length on our various previous Monday episodes. And with that, it comes the potential that this deadline is going to be different for the Angels. It has been much different. We're going to hit a bunch of Angels trades. They are really trying to kind of fire sale, get some of these guys out. They're going to try to change the perception of this organization. Zach Neto is still maybe up in the air. We've heard a lot of rumors around him. So things could get really interesting for the Angels, but this was the first step. Logan O'Hoppe had been really, really struggling. And Silseth's a reliever, just they're grabbing an interesting shortstop, but it was that signaling of the waving the white flag. The Angels are going to make a sell. They're going to change some things, and that's manifested itself over these last couple of days.
Yeah, and obviously we were unsure about what was officially going to happen when Artie Moreno brings in John Mozeliak out of nowhere to kind of run this thing. Artie has never really given the ability to trade people away. And here we are now. Seems like that's starting to happen. So, all right. Next up, we had the Minnesota Twins acquiring relief pitcher AJ Minter from the Mets for Bruin Agbayani and Billy Amick. That was the Twins' 21st and 29th ranked prospects per MLB Pipeline at the time. And also, we could just throw this one in there because this one also happened right after, was the Twins also acquiring Dean Kramer from the Orioles for outfield prospect Gerardo Reyes, who was the 24th ranked prospect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Twins pivoting to buying. They've been quiet today, but this was a little bit of a. We'll say it's a bit of a surprise. Obviously, they've got some guys that have been very intriguing on these deadlines. Blocks over the course of the last couple of seasons. They made a big fire sale last year, but this year buying lightly, you would say, right? These guys are mostly not super exciting that they gave up. I like Billy Amick that the Mets grabbed for AJ Minter. I think that's a pretty reasonable prospect to acquire in a deal like this. A guy that maybe pops, turns some things around, and is able to get to the majors. But overall, I mean, inconsequential trades, but they are pitching acquisition trades that will really help the Twins to try and go after that wild card spot and that AL Central spot. I think they're probably not done. They probably have at least one more move in them today. We'll see whether that's of any consequence or if it's more of this kind of broad shotgun approach to grabbing pitching here at the deadline.
Yeah, and I don't think that the Twins will be done. They've apparently been in on many different pitchers still. So, all right, let's jump to Saturday because this was our first kind of pretty active day that we had. And let's start with the Brewers and the Guardians linking up for a trade, sending Bo Naylor and Cody Hewer to Milwaukee with Craig Yoho and Blake Perkins going back to Cleveland.
Yeah, a little bit of a shotgun style trade for the Brewers and Guardians here, right? A couple of teams in the lead of, or in the running for the lead of their divisions, and obviously Bo Naylor had been struggling for the Guardians. Craig Yoho and Blake Perkins been really struggling for the Brewers. So a little bit of a change of scenery deal. I am frankly shocked the Brewers haven't been more involved at this trade deadline thus far. A lot of good prospects in that organization, a lot of ammunition with which to build, and they are currently doing nothing. So we'll have to see how things continue to play out for the Brewers, but this is the only move we're going to talk about for now. I'm assuming they will make at least 1 to 2 more moves before the end of the day today. But as we sit here, their big acquisition so far is Bo Naylor. It doesn't apply much. If Cody Hoyer becomes something for the Brewers, I might lose my mind, but we'll just, that's another.
Right.
I like Yoho. I thought he was at least decent. The Guardians pick him up. Maybe he'll be good.
Yoho is really interesting. He has a very, very nasty changeup. Very similar to like Devin Williams's airbenders type stuff. But he's butted heads a little bit with Milwaukee's development process. So it'll be interesting to see, though. Next one, we got the Pirates acquiring Camilo Doval from the Yankees for Omar Alfonso and Luis Cruz. Alfonso was Pittsburgh's 17th ranked prospect per pipeline, and Luis Cruz was not currently ranked. Doval was a big pickup, I believe, last year for the Yankees at the deadline, and has just really, really struggled in the Bronx. Sometimes he looks unhittable. Sometimes he looks like he's throwing every single pitch down the middle. So there's conflicting reports on Reed Detmers to the Cubs being done yet.
Yes. It's funny. We've got in our Discord, we've got a disagree on one and an agree from another that it is done. So we'll see. Maybe they're still on on the border of getting that one finished. And
so far also per Andy Kotsta, who is a Orioles beat writer, he says part of the return for Adley Rutschman is Anthony Ianson.
Interesting. That would be surprising to me.
Ianson is very, very good. He's one of the top pitching prospects in baseball. But that's there so far. So anyways, let's get back to kind of where we're at so far. Camilo Doval, your thoughts on that trade real quick.
The Pirates making a move for a guy that's been struggling. That makes a lot of sense. That pitching development group is typically pretty solid. Doval really just needs to throw more strikes, right? That's his big issue, is that he can't get the command under check. And if he can just, avoid those walks as a reliever, he's nasty enough that the strikeouts will come. He just needs to get the ball in the zone. So he's done it before, and it's one of those things where with relievers with this kind of nasty stuff tend to fall into that trap of being a little wild, and that ultimately hurts him. But I think Camilo Doval is probably good enough for the Pirates. They probably should add another reliever here today, but they've been quiet. Again, the NL Central has been quite quiet with the exception of the Cubs. This is the last Pirates trade we're going to mention. They probably need a bat too. Haven't done a whole lot. We'll see what happens the rest of the day. But yeah, that's Brewers Pirates done here. And we're, the Reds still haven't sold anybody yet. Yeah, the day could continue on and get crazy, but I'm surprised the Pirates. This is the only Pirates move that we've got.
Yeah, I know they're trying for some more things, but it also comes down to how much money do they have to really spend with here. All right, next trade we had was Lane Thomas and Bailey Falter going from the Royals to the Atlanta Braves for Lucas Braun and Carter Holton. Lucas Braun was Atlanta's 8th ranked prospect per Pipeline, and Carter Holton was Atlanta's 18th ranked prospect at the time. Matt's talked about a lot. They needed to find some sort of outfield platoon option potentially for that left field spot. Lane Thomas hits lefties extremely, extremely well. Will go great with Mike Yastrzemski there. And then the Braves just always do some sort of a underrated pitcher. See if you could try to figure out, not underrated, but like see if you can just figure out a pitcher kind of here with Bailey Falter.
Yeah, this is a good move, right? Braves are in need of some starting pitching stability. Bailey Falter brings that, even if he's never going to be good in the starting pitching slot, he's always stable. You always get the same guy, right? But yeah, Lane Thomas was probably the big acquisition here, right? He's a former kind of all-star caliber player that's not playing like that at this point in his career, but he is going to be a lefty killer. And the Braves have needed some outfield stability. This is a platoon player, but it's a platoon player that can really work in a Braves lineup that has two weaknesses effectively when everything is clicking. It shores up one of those with that left field slot. So hopefully Lane Thomas can provide that. And I mean, I don't know much about Lucas Braun, but I'm not seeing a return here that's kind of big enough that would make me upset. In fact, I think they've already kicked him off the Braves system.
Yeah, because it was Saturday.
So, yeah, this was Saturday. So he's over here on the Braun, right-handed pitcher, AAA. So, I mean, 24 years old in AAA, 45 grade fastball according to Pipeline, tops out at 96, but sits at 92. I mean, it's kind of probably a reliever.
Carlos Narvaez is a part of the deal going to the Orioles from the Red Sox. At the moment, just as we're getting through all this. So our first kind of interesting trade of Saturday happened when the White Sox acquired Luis Castillo from the Seattle Mariners for Sir Anthony Dominguez, Nolan Jones, and right-handed pitcher Boston Smith, who was their 15th ranked prospect per Pipeline. The big thing here is it's been talked about for a couple of years that the Mariners would potentially look to get off Luis Castillo at some point. The White Sox take him on, but not only did they take on his full contract, and which also has it's for next season and has a vesting option after that as well. But we knew the White Sox wanted to get a starting pitcher at some sort. I didn't know if they would be willing to take on the level of money that it was going to take to get someone of, obviously Luis Castillo's really, really struggled, but it's a big contract to kind of take on.
Yeah, to me, this is one of those things that verifies the report that the White Sox wanted to hang on to their top 10-ish prospects. They were very insistent in hanging on to that group. It's a strong group, very, very good, one of the higher ranking groups, but you feel like the White Sox could part with one or two of those guys and go get somebody on a higher level. I mean, you've got guys like Caleb Bonham is their number one prospect right now, but I mean, George Wolkow is at the bottom at number 10. I think he was kind of floated in a deal that got scuttled. Jaden Foskey's interesting. Tanner McDougal and Hagen Smith are probably really good pitchers. They're both in AAA, and I kind of feel like those guys might be off the table. But you start dangling some of those other names in this group, and they would have been pretty solid. As far as going for Luis Castillo, that's a solid arm, but it's not an arm that's going to really change their outlook. It's just going to add that stability to the rotation down the stretch here. As Ianson did get,
and Kyson Witherspoon.
Yeah, wow,
that's a big.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
for I mean, Adley's good, but
he's got another year of control. And then Sherman just said Pirates are pushing hard to finalize a trade for Luke Weaver.
Okay,
from the Mets.
And we did say the Pirates need to add more by way of the bullpen. That's been their big struggle point this season. So that makes sense. And the Detmers thing keeps getting pushed back by a lot of folks. So I wonder if Michael jumped the gun or what, but he doesn't typically.
Yeah.
Maybe there's still some hang up going on there.
Apparently there's things too from that we'll get to the Adley stuff, but apparently the reason they were willing to trade him is the Orioles talked an extension and he wasn't very interested.
Yeah.
All right. So we talked about the Luis Castillo trade. The first big blockbuster happened Saturday night, and that is the expected move at this point of Tarek Skubal getting traded, which we have talked about for a year and a half.
Yep.
That they should potentially look to doing this unless you're going to extend him. This offseason, we talked about it again, and they didn't do it. Then at the deadline, it was like maybe they keep him, maybe they don't. Then it kind of started seeming more of a realistic possibility. And obviously, when a player of that nature is coming up, Andrew Friedman and the Dodgers are going to do a lot to get involved there. And they ended up getting the deal done for outfield prospect Zaire Hope, right-handed pitcher Brady Smith, and then River Ryan as well. I know we have a little bit of differing opinions here on the trade. Obviously, Tarek Skubal, there's not much to say about him. One of the best starting pitchers in baseball at the time, going to a loaded Dodgers pitching staff. I think everyone's going to say, well, that's just, of course they got him. And of course they got him, right? The premise comes down to the return.
Right.
And what you believe in Zaire Hope and River Ryan. Because I think the package that a lot of people were throwing around was Emmett Sheehan and Zaire Hope. That was kind of the thing. I think Ryan is better than Emmett Sheehan, in my opinion. He has better stuff. He's got probably 4+ pitches at this point. A lot of the thing is about his age, but he's actually a really young pitcher. He didn't start pitching until 2022, I think, or 2023. He was kind of doing the two-way, but full-time as a pitcher there. And then it comes down to what you believe in Zaire Hope. He this year has made a lot of adjustments to cut down on his whiff rate, and has one of the better power speed combos in a prospect that is out there at the moment. I think what the rental prices have been this year, looking at other trades we'll get to. I think this is a strong haul. I think it's a haul that would have been there on Monday. So a lot of people that, today, but apparently the Tigers and the Dodgers had talked multiple different packages. There was multiple different packages on the table between the two teams, and the Tigers chose this one. And Scott Harris, I guess, was really infatuated with Zaire Hope.
Here's the issue on this deal. And it's not that the Dodgers made this move, because again, this is a trade. It's not a signing, a free agent signing, right? The Dodgers are not paying more for Tarek Skubal than anybody else could possibly pay, that nobody could have overdone this deal. My issue with this deal is not the Dodgers, because the Dodgers should obviously be going for the best player. That's a given. Why are the Tigers selling Skubal 2 days before the deadline? Why are we not sitting here going, the pressure's on, who's going to jump the gun and pay for Tarek Skubal? Because I don't think there was ever a chance in hell that this package wasn't on the board. Was it going to stay on the board for the Dodgers, right? I think the Dodgers would have always been willing to go Hope, starting pitcher, extra prospect, up to the deadline, right? The rest of the teams, man, I think the way this deadline is going, somebody might have gotten antsy and overpopped got past Zaire Hope. Now you have to really believe in Zaire Hope to go past their previous asks on other teams. Like the other teams that are involved, I mean, have prospects right on the same level as Zaire Hope or higher, which are the Rays, Brewers, Cubs. Like they could have overtopped it and it would have looked much better. But again, yeah, it's a rental. My issue is, why are we doing this deal on Saturday night and not today when teams are going to be at their most desperate? Well, options are going to be taken off the board. This is pre-jumping the market. That's what bothers me the most about this, because the Tigers effectively removed all their suitors and said, we're working with the Dodgers, is what it feels like. They're working with the Dodgers. We're getting Zaire Hope. Whatever the alternate set of packaging is works. And if you have River Ryan or Emmett Sheehan, whatever. I mean, my thing is, River Ryan at his current age, Tariq Skubal had won a Cy Young award. It's not the same stratosphere of player. Right. And so that's where I'm frustrated, is because they took the first deal, it feels like. And I feel like that you could have forced the Dodgers to maybe pay a little more. That would be the thing.
I think it's very disingenuous to think that they just took the first deal and they didn't talk to other teams. I think that's a really bad way to kind of look at it. Like, they obviously had talked to other teams about it. Apparently the Brewers weren't willing to put Logan Henderson in a deal.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Like, Henderson's been very good.
Right. But okay, so if you're not willing to, if that's the level of the guy that they see River Ryan at, like, we also don't know the internal scouting that the Tigers have, right? Like, if they see Logan Henderson and River Ryan as the same level, and you're not willing to do Logan Henderson, but this team's willing to do River Ryan, then where's that at? Mm-hmm. Like value wise, I think, would this deal have been here on Monday? Yes. I think they had enough information from the other teams that, like, hey, we're not going to do said players here. That's fine. Like, we saw the Rays had been mentioned. The Rays immediately pivoted to Freddie Peralta, which we'll get to here in a little bit.
Right.
The Brewers haven't, but the odds that the Brewers, who are one of the smartest front offices in baseball too, are going to overreact and give you a guy like Logan Henderson and a bunch more prospects or level the prospects at the same time on a Monday after that, I just don't think that was going to come to fruition.
Yeah.
The other teams, like, there weren't many other teams. It was kind of cut down to, like, every time you talked, it was those three teams: Rays, Brewers, Dodgers. I think it just came down to that they identified the guys they liked. They had the prospects there on the table, and they took the deal. Now, that's obviously coming from a Dodger fan, right? So take that for what it's worth. Like, I got Tariq Skubal on Saturday. I don't care when the deal happened. Like, it happened. But I think just to kind of throw it away and say, hey, like, they could have just done so much better. Well, obviously they couldn't have, because they didn't. And say, well, they could have just forced another team to do something else. You couldn't. Like, if that deal was going to be there, that deal was going to be there. I don't know that they would have got a whole bunch more.
Luke Weaver to the Pirates is done, according to Jorge Castillo, retweeted by Jeff Passan.
Sammy Staffura? He's a player.
It's probably it's probably got to be Staffura. He's been red hot, and he's shooting up prospect lists. I'm just, I do think the Brewers might have hamstrung themselves slightly here too. I think Luis Lara he's a kind of a top. Let me see what he's at the 130 list. Luis Pena is at 18. And then you've got Lara, who signed an extension, but he was in the top 25 or. He's 64 on Pipeline, but he had been up there right around that same level as well. And Cooper Pratt was right there as well. I think they probably hamstrung themselves by knocking those extensions out. And when it comes to this particular deal, you probably could have offered two of those three guys and gotten ahead of this package. But because the Brewers were not willing. And then I think also Logan Henderson probably doesn't get the opportunity to prove he can do it at the major league level if Kyle Harrison and Quinn Priester aren't hurt.
Yeah.
And then with Henderson proving it, right? He's a guy who throws 93. I mean, he's not a world beater, but he's performing so well right now. I mean, he's got like a 2.6 ERA and, 10 starts at the major league level. He's performing like a superstar pitcher. Like, it makes sense to get apprehensive on that. But if that guy doesn't have an opportunity to prove he can be a major league pitcher, then the Brewers package all of a sudden looks like much stronger than the Dodgers, without even giving, they're not giving up Jesus Mate, and you're talking about, it's probably like Henderson, Pena and Lara, and then you're like, that's 3 top 100 like caliber players, right? And a pitcher that can step into the rotation right now that hasn't gotten the opportunity for a team that's chock full of pitchers. Like at that point, yes, it works, but it just feels like maybe the Brewers got ahead of themselves. The Rays aren't willing to part with Theo Gillen, who was the prospect on this level. And I mean, if you have Zaire Hope ranked in the top 20 as the Tigers, like, you better be right. That's where I'm at. You better be right. Like I like Zaire Hope. I think he's a top 100 caliber prospect. He's not going to be a center fielder.
No, he's corner outfield, power speed corner outfielder. That's what it's going to be.
And power guy going to Detroit that has struggled with whiff in the past, and he's been better this year. But like, man, it's alarming. It's just if I'm the Tigers, right? I don't accept Zaire Hope until 5 o'clock today. I'm trying to get DePaula. DePaula is one of my favorite prospects in the majors. I think he's going to be a superstar. There's a reason the Dodgers are going to hold on to him.
Yeah.
But then you still got Quintero. You've still got Sirota.
There's
other guys you can push.
There had basically been a set sentiment that DePaula, Quintero, and Sirota were basically not going anywhere this deadline.
That's crazy to me. It feels like Sirota's value is as high as it's ever going to be.
They have loved Sirota since the draft process. They see him as a potential center fielder of the future. Crazy to say when you have Andy Pajas on your team, but
right.
Like I think that they also don't believe that DePaula is maybe a corner outfield forever, and that you can have Sirota, Quintero, and Pajas as an outfield long term. Okay, so that basically wraps up Saturday's trades. So let's get to, we have a question right here from Tanner Powers from X. Do you think the Braves go after anyone, or are they done? They will. Alex Anthopoulos will continue to go after people. He will be in the market for a starting pitcher. I'm not sure what level of starting pitcher. I'm not sure if that's going to be a Clay Holmes type or something, but I don't think they're done, but I just don't know it's going to be a major piece. I'm not sure what big time starting pitcher is even left or something for them to go after.
Yeah, the Braves are in an interesting spot. And
from Will Sam and the Cubs are acquiring Braxton Garrett from the Marlins.
That's an interesting pivot.
So maybe the Braves get Reed Detmers. I'm just kidding.
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there could also potentially be a shortstop deal for the Braves too. I wouldn't potentially rule them out on something like a Zach Neto, or something like that either. So thanks for the question, Tanner. So all right. Well, we'll continue reacting to the other ones before our stuff starts continuing trickling in. So let's get to Sunday now, where the Rays acquired Freddie Peralta from the Mets for Aiden Smith, Gary Gill-Hill, and Emilian Petre. Smith was the 15th ranked prospect, Gary Gill-Hill was the 26th, and Petre was the 27th ranked prospect. Freddie Peralta, obviously a trade in the offseason from the Brewers. David Stearns reacquiring him, hoping that he would lead that rotation, and has just really, really struggled in New York. Just never really found his footing. Gets to go to one of the smartest organizations here with the Tampa Bay Rays, and I would not be surprised to see them tell him to throw his changeup a lot more than his fastball, because that's typically they've loved that.
The Brewers have done something in
Dustin
division.
May and JoJo Romero. Nice.
There you go.
The return for Braxton Garrett seems to be Jonathan Long and Jace Beck.
Jeez, man, that is a lot for a guy that I don't really believe in. Johnny Long hit 10 home runs in the last month in AAA. He's been really, really good. I don't know about that, man. He was gonna get probably 40 men crunched. They needed to move him, but okay.
All right. Let's talk about Peralta. Real quick. So Gary Gill-Hill, Aiden Smith, Emilian Petre going to the Mets. I think we are both fully in line that we think that the Rays will work their magic with Freddie Peralta again. I say again, but just as another pitcher that they do this stuff with, and turn him into probably a really good starting pitcher again. Probably make him throw his changeup more.
Right. That was the Lance Brostowski tweeted about. The Rays like to have that extra changeup usage, and the Mets did not actually prioritize that. Feels like Freddie Peralta will get back to that. This is a good deal. He was very much highly pursued during this deadline process, and that was a little bit surprising to me because he has been quite bad overall thus far, with the Mets since leaving the Brewers, and even his last year at the Brewers wasn't particularly strong, right? So you have to really believe you can get the most out of him, but I really don't mind. I really don't mind giving, the Rays giving him a shot that feels like the organization that can extract the most out of him. And that's a group that already has very strong starting pitching, right? So if you look forward to a wild card series, for example, right, Freddie Peralta maybe starts game 3 for them. He might start game 2, but he probably starts game 3 for them. And that works out very nicely because you have the strong pitching in the other 2 spots with Drew Rasmussen and there's one more. Boz, maybe.
Boz is in Baltimore.
No, Boz is in Baltimore. It's Nick Martinez, who's been really good, but Shane McClanahan's also been quite strong for them as well. But I think he's hurt.
Yeah, he just left to start this last time.
He'd probably be Martinez or Freddie Peralta, right? So, but this is the third starter. Really does nail things down for the Rays, and if they get anything good out of him, I mean, hats off. That this rebuilds Freddie's free agent case, allows him to not get the qualifying offer if that stays around. That feels like a really solid pickup for the Rays.
Yeah. All right. Next, we had the Yankees acquiring Luis Garcia Jr. from the Nationals for Jack Seabret, Ben Grable, Jake Bird, and Giovanni Cruz. Seabret and Gable were both top 25 prospects for the Yankee system. But Luis Garcia is interesting because left-handed hitting first baseman, you already have Ben Rice there, but what this I think kind of tells me is that maybe Ben Rice is going to DH and they're unsure about Giancarlo Stanton. And you're going to run some sort of platoon there with Goldschmidt and Garcia. I think Garcia is going to absolutely feast with the short porch there. Great left-handed bat. Doesn't strike out a lot, but doesn't walk a lot either. Swings a lot of pitches out of the zone, but doesn't really miss them very often. So he has insane kind of upside here. If you look at his StatCast page, it's a lot of red. And going to Yankee Stadium, I think it's only going to help him continue to get better.
Yeah, Garcia's power has really exploded this season. He seems to be finding a little extra pop out of the bat. And he had not been more of a contact guy the early part of his career, but the power's exploded. He's over 20 home runs already. And that's the kind of thing that gets you traded when you're kind of maximizing your value, especially as a guy that used to be a second baseman that is basically first base only at this point, could not really adapt as he got older. So it seems like having to hit more is the pivot for him, and that's about right. So I'm for the Yankees perspective, they've been hunting for a bat to go out there and get a little bit more versatile, and that helps. He may be able to moonlight at second if you need him to. He may be able to start in right or left for a game, but for the most part, that works out well enough that and I don't think they gave up anything. I think when a lot of people saw this deal, it was like kind of
4 prospects,
four prospects, but like 4 prospects you're not going to miss. It is how this feels. So this one's all right.
Yeah. Then we had the Cubs making their first trade of the deadline, and that was acquiring Kevin Gossman from the Toronto Blue Jays for Brett Bateman, Ty Southseen, and then I guess we can just throw in that the Blue Jays also acquired Jameson Taillon because it basically was a DFA cash deal to that. So they kind of swapped starting pitchers there. But David, we talked that we thought the Cubs needed at least a couple starting pitchers. Obviously, they got David Peterson a couple weeks ago. Now you get Kevin Gossman on a rental deal. What's the feeling?
Well, it feels a lot better, yesterday than it does right now. Though I think you look back on this and it's nothing but positive for Kevin Gossman to the Cubs, and I think Cubs fans, we're all kind of in a blender right now. But roll back, Kevin Gossman to the Cubs it's a great deal. Value wise, Brett Bateman and Ty Southazine have 4 combined home runs, and Damian, you and I have the same number of home runs in 2026 as these fellas do. They are not powerful hitters. They're both very good contact hitters, that said, but the athleticism on Southazine is kind of the dream that hopefully he kind of grows in a little bit. But you just don't have time to wait on that. And this is a guy that internally you either love a guy that, he plays, speedy and plays a lot of, defense up the middle, but he doesn't really hit. So you're kind of hoping that he's going to run a high BABIP and use that speed, but he's not like an 80 grade speed guy. He's more of a 60 grade speed guy. So this is like, it's just a risky profile that you're generally, I never saw this guy making it to the bigs with the Cubs. The fact they got anybody for him in a deal is huge, is what it feels like to me. When that pick got made, it was like, this guy is what grade power? Like it's like negative grade power. Like it's just, he doesn't hit the ball very hard. And that's what really spooked me about him when he was a pick. But for the Blue Jays, right, they've done very well with the no power guys, right? So Nathan Lucas comes to mind. Ernie Clement comes to mind.
MLB The Show cover guy.
I mean,
by the way,
I love Ernie Clement. That's a little bit ridiculous, but they've done a really good job of pushing these guys, to the majors, getting success out of them, extracting the most value out of them they can. Cubs and Blue Jays have a really good repertoire too. They trade together a lot. So I'm sure there's maybe a little goodwill towards Kevin Gossman, taking him to the place that can probably extract the most value from him and get his free agent case for this final probably deal of his career to the best spot it'll be. So, because this deal feels really underwhelming compared to some of these other deals, like no power guys, like almost like no chance for a starter. Really, you're hoping for backups at the major league level, basically, or platoon guys at the major league level. I thought the Blue Jays could have maybe gotten more, but like from a Cubs perspective, this feels awesome. Like this is what allows you to go out and pursue a Reed Detmers today.
Or Braxton Garrett.
Or Braxton Garrett, I guess. I don't know what's happening. We're all in a blender over here. It's very odd.
Yeah.
So
that's part of being live while all of this stuff is going. You don't have much time to kind of,
we don't know what's going on,
process things and really dive in, because we're trying to do this through it. But I just think the rental starting pitching market, I just don't think it's as strong as people really think it is at the moment, even for high profile guys. But you're only getting what, like maybe 8 starts out of a guy.
Right.
And
it has to be right. And then you push the playoff starts in, right? And that's why Tariq Skubal is a more impactful asset. Freddie Peralta, at least in essence, is a very impactful asset. Kevin Gossman is going to start playoff games for the Cubs, or at least one playoff game for the Cubs. It depends on, how far the Cubs can get, but he's starting a playoff game for the Cubs, right? And then he's a splitter fastball guy that's going to generate grounders. He hasn't been meaningfully hit worse this year. It's just that things of the defense hasn't been there for him as much this year. He's going to the best defense in baseball, so it probably works in his favor. I feel like he'll be pretty solid, and will I think the Cubs will benefit heavily. Gossman's loved too by Toronto. Did you see the standing ovation they gave him? I mean, everybody in Toronto loves Gossman. From a Cubs fan, we'll take care of him, and we'll wish him the best, and he's gonna shove for us, I hope, this year, because he shoved in the playoffs for them last year too, so he was really good.
All right, the Braves then acquired Tyler Mahle from the San Francisco Giants for Anthony Molina, who is not ranked there. Mahle was really bad to start the year. This is just kind of another thing like Bailey Falter. Just get the guy in your organization and hope that you're able to make a tweak to help turn him around, and they could use pitching at the moment, because they have had a ton of pitching injuries,
right,
to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, this is depth add, right? Mahle was probably the worst available rental starter. Kind of, he's like the worst tier, but go ahead and get that guy. Get your kind of baseline rental arm on the team and then go shoot for the upside. We haven't really heard anything. And obviously, Tanner had asked about the Braves earlier, and we're still kind of like, I don't know what they're going to do. Like, it seems to be a little questionable. So I mean, I hope Tyler Mahle isn't the only ad for the Braves, but they need more probably to probably pull away from the Phillies, get maybe back into the contention for that 2 seed, and then it feels like they would be a good fit for Neto, but the Braves aren't going to give up real live breathing prospects for that guy. So who knows?
All right. Next one was the White Sox acquiring Huskar Brazoban for Gabe Davis and Zach Franklin. Franklin was not ranked. Gabe Davis was the Mets' 18th ranked prospect per Pipeline. I did not realize that Brazoban was 36.
Yeah,
that's crazy. I think even when he got traded, we did this a couple years ago with the Mets, like the same thing. But I saw people acting like he was a young, I thought he was 32, 33. Mm-hmm. And I saw people acting like he was 28 or whatever. And it's no, he's an older guy here. So I don't think this package is bad.
No. Huskar Brazoban makes River Ryan look like a spring chicken. That said, Huskar Brazoban was probably my favorite reliever ad because I thought the age would work in your favor on the acquisition price, right? You're acquiring a guy who's 36. You could probably reason he's going to miss time over the control that is here. So you're probably acquiring him at peak value, but this is a guy that throws 90, 95 to 99. The stuff is nasty. He's in a role with he was in a role with the Mets for his opening games, and maybe you could probably reason he's going to be a very solid back end of the bullpen arm. And, we looked at the White Sox deal. I mean, they pushed Sir Anthony Dominguez out the door for Luis Castillo. Well, that opens up a spot at the back end of the bullpen where Brazoban can fill. And I think he will fill admirably. I was all over this one a couple months ago when he pitched against the Cubs in one of those games and just shut him down. This is a guy that I think he can get up there, and he's going to be pretty solid as we approach the playoffs for the White Sox, because they did need this bullpen help. And this deal went down at 1 a.m. It buzzed on my phone, and I checked it before I went to sleep, and I was like, dang it. This is the guy I wanted the Cubs to grab, because it's a perfect storm of great stuff, but also cheap acquisition costs, despite being a very controlled reliever, because a lot of those years probably aren't very valuable. This is the year that's the most valuable. So it's almost more of a rental. But you could see the White Sox, non-tendering this guy at some point. But at the same time, right now, he's very, very good. And that's going to help in this particular season.
Yeah. White Sox have been sneaky of trying to get people, and I wouldn't be surprised they make another move today either. But obviously, today being the trade deadline has brought a ton of action, and it started off hot right away. And that was with the Blue Jays. We thought they were selling. We saw them trade off Kevin Gossman. We thought that was kind of the way they were going to go. And they ended up acquiring Jose Soriano from the Angels for Arjun Nimala, Eddie Micheletti, and Angel Rivero. Nimala, number 2 prospect in Toronto's system per Pipeline. The other 2 were not ranked. We've talked a lot about Nimala all the way back to the draft process with Greg Zumack when he was on the show here. We knew the Angels, after that, they were supposed to be a big player, trading people away. Toronto was not one of the places that was mentioned for one of their starting pitchers at all. So this one kind of came out of nowhere. There was even a little report, I forgot who put it out, that don't rule out the Blue Jays potentially flipping Soriano away. I'm like, well, why would you do that? Why would you trade for him and then just do that?
Right.
But let's, under this assumption, let's say they're keeping him. So what about the fit and then that after what Toronto's kind of been dealing with here?
Yeah, I mean, it's a reload type deal, right? It's you trade away Kevin Gossman, who's a rental, but the Blue Jays have a very solid core. I wouldn't be surprised if Dalton Varsho, who is a free agent at the end of the season, is on the move today. But they are, Shane Bieber is also a free agent at the end of the year. He might be on the move today, but they're trying to ensure that the 2027 Toronto Blue Jays, season pending, are a good baseball team. And this is a great way to do that. I think they acknowledge that Nimala is still a couple of years away. Maybe they have a plan in free agency. Maybe they try to go back and get Bo Bichette or something to that effect. But overall, I like this deal on the surface is very strong and solid. Demal is good, but he's probably not. They got JoJo Parker in the pipeline as well. He looks like an absolute monster. So, we'll see whether or not Soriano stays. I do think that report is kind of interesting, right? Where you pick that guy up and then you're like, I wonder if anybody's desperate enough to, snag this guy that we just pushed for, because I mean, there certainly could be the case. We've talked about so many of these teams that are they're starved for starting pitching. They need help, especially for playoff caliber starting pitching. Soriano can definitely do it. The walks are a lot, but a lot of these teams are really good at helping starting pitchers avoid walks. So, it's certainly worth a look if you could get something that's equal, maybe two better pieces, pieces that are almost as good as Namala.
Yeah.
Something to that effect, where you overall make your farm system better, and you flip Soriano at the cost of your second best prospect, that in a spot that he's kind of behind the other shortstop prospect at this stage. Like it could work, but it'd be a weird way to go about things.
Well, and of course, like we talked to the Charter School thing, we don't know the internal evaluations of these teams. Like there might be guys that were offered to the Angels for Jose Soriano that the Angels didn't really like, but then the Blue Jays might love. So that might, obviously throw a little wrench into that. They feel like they might be able to upgrade that way. Okay, let's move on. Next one. The Philadelphia Phillies acquired Luis Arias and Caleb Killian from the San Francisco Giants for Ramon Marquez and Marty Gayer. The plan as of right now is for Arias to stay at second base, Bryson Stott to move to third base, Alec Boehm to move to first base, and then Bryce Harper to move back to the outfield for this year. But he's made it very clear that this is only a short-term fix and that he will be back at first base for next season. Obviously, Arias is a rental here, but it's one of the best pure hitters in baseball. Average-wise, he's leading the league for average again. So what would this be, his third batting title?
Yeah.
Combined between 5 teams if he were to end up doing it, which is kind of crazy. But he improved his defense initially to start the year. It was actually really, really good. But it's really kind of taken a step back to average and a little bit below average now at second base. But he was, pretty set in stone that he wanted to stay there. But I have some concerns about a Trey Turner, Luis Arias middle infield there for the Phillies.
Yeah. I think the deal is fine. Right, Arias is good enough hitter to help that Phillies offense be a little more consistent. Killian he was closing games for the Giants at this point. He'd really figured it out in relief, but I think Ramon Marquez might be the best player traded in this deal overall. When all is said and done, that might be something the Phillies, they probably don't regret. Dave Dombrowski operates on this. He's kind of a Preller light prospect. Really doesn't matter. All that matters is I get the guy I want. The money doesn't matter. All that matters is I get the guy I want. Marquez he was one of the fastest rising pitching prospects in the majors or in the minors this season, and to go for just the Luis Arias and Caleb Killian, that's a little bit of an overpay in my initial reaction. But I watched Luis Arias ground out 8 times to Dansby Swanson in 3-game set last year. Like I have a very limited belief that he's going to really impact the playoff series very positively for Philadelphia, unless something is meaningfully changed. Because if they, there's real possible the Phillies are wild card 5. If they run right into the Cubs again, and Arias is just grounding out to Dansby again. So,
yeah, I mean, it's just trying to acquire a bat to help you. Bryce Harper went out and actively said, we need more people. We need help. We need something here. Outfield market wasn't the best. And if you felt like getting a guy like Arias is probably your best option at a bat to help you this year, why not go ahead and try to do it there? So it'll be interesting to see how that works out defensively and what it looks like near the end. But at the same time as that news broke, the Phillies also acquired Brooks Raley from the Mets for Luke Gabrish and John Spikerman.
Yeah, Raley is lefty only guy, but a top 30 back end guy, and it's about the price I expect for some of the relievers to start going here. We haven't really even seen some of the other, particularly interesting relievers. I think it's Antonio Senzatella from the Rockies should go here at some point. He's going to cost about this. Who's the other lefty reliever Minter went for a little bit more than Rayleigh, but again, Rayleigh's a little bit older. It makes sense. There's a couple other guys that are still available when it comes to the relief market. But yeah, I mean, this is a probably an inconsequential deal, but Rayleigh probably does pitch meaningful innings against some of the stronger lefty bats in whatever playoff series. I just mentioned the Cubs, right? I mean, that's PCA, that's Michael Busch. If the Phillies happen to, fall down to 6 and are playing the 3 seed, I mean, that's the Braves. So that's Matt Olson. He's might going to have to face against. So that's what you look ahead for. I mean, I don't think they give up anything of particular consequence here, but that's all right. That's kind of how most of these trades go.
All right. So speaking of left-handed kind of relief pitchers here, the Braves then required Brent Suter from the Angels for infielder Nacho Alvarez. It's just kind of like a crap for crap trade a little bit. Like Suter's not really that great anymore. Nacho Alvarez is fine defensively, but doesn't really have a home and can't hit. It's just the Angels getting more bodies here that, give them some sort of impact, or not impact, but is there going to, for, a long term or at least longer than this year, where Suter just gives the Braves another kind of pitcher we were talking about. Just get the guy in your system, and if you make a little tweak and he becomes better, then so be it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I just think Brent Suter in particular he's just going to give you that funk, left-handed funk. He's a different look. He's almost always a different look. Got the arm slot dropping way down to almost sidearm. It provides a little bit of a difficulty for left-handed batters. Kind of throws it right in the wheelhouse to the right-handed batters on top of that. So, again, lefty only type of guy, but with that potential of more being a low leverage option for the Braves, because the Braves have some really good bullpen arms. But yeah, I mean, this is more of a depthy ad. Get rid of Nacho Alvarez, who hasn't been very good, and give him a chance to go to the Angels, where he can very easily find playing time, I would think. So yeah, Angels are on it though. This next trade, the Angels too.
Yeah, and then there's potentially more to come, but. The Angels then trade Joe Adell to the Cleveland Guardians for catching prospect Jacob Cozart, who was, I believe, a second-round pick in 2024. He was the number 18th ranked prospect per Pipeline for the Guardians. We had heard that the Guardians have been trying to target, or not the Guardians, sorry, the Angels have been trying to target catching prospects, especially after trading away Logan O'Hoppe. They won some sort of left-handed catching prospect. A lot of the big things when they were talking about Reed Detmers was Owen Ayers from the Cubs. That's a guy they really, really valued.
Yep.
So obviously it's not a shock to see them kind of get another guy in Cozart. Cozart's more of a defensively minded catcher, doesn't really hit very well, but you could also say the same thing about Joe Adell right now, that he hasn't hit very well and has been more defensively minded.
Yeah, I mean, Cozart kind of looks like a backup at this point, right? He was really good at NC State, but he has not performed nearly as good as a professional. He's been more of a defensive minded catcher. But this is initially I thought, well, this might take the Angels out on catcher, but no, they're still going to be out looking for it. Yeah. You mentioned Ayers, and I look back at this Reed Detmers deal. It seems like it's scuttled. I'm guessing there's not. We haven't gotten why. I think it's a real possibility that the Carson Kelly's a free agent next year for the Cubs. I think the Cubs have kind of penciled Owen Ayers in as the starter. He's a switch hitter.
Maybe.
And he's good. He's very good. He's like an 80 grade arm. He's very good defensively. There's a real possibility the Cubs kind of just want him to start next year.
I don't think that Detmers deal is dead either. I just think it could potentially happen. Yeah, it's just not done yet.
What are the odds Los Angeles Angels are interested in Braxton Garrett? It's we're about to run out of deals. We're about to catch up to live, but it's very funny that
we got a couple more.
The Angels have really been the most active seller on the market. You think about a lot of the teams. There have really been 6 teams, right, that have been just completely out of the wild card race. And it's Angels, A's, Rockies, Giants. Giants have been a motivated seller. We've got another deal to talk about for them. I said A's. There's two more. It is the Royals and who have sold a little bit. And there's one more.
Yeah.
Losing my mind. Who is it?
Even the Royals have like not fully done what they
Blue Jays.
were expected to do. Well, the Blue Jays are only like 4.5 out, but they kind of ended up selling.
It's the Mets. The Mets. This is the other one. The Blue Jays were on the border still.
Yeah.
So it's Mets, Rockies, Giants, and then Angels, Athletics, Royals. The 6 teams. The Mets have been motivated sellers, and the Angels have been motivated sellers. The others have kind of not. The A's haven't sold anybody, but it's not like the A's have a ton to sell. Shea Langoliers was the interesting one.
Yeah.
Got hurt. I'm surprised, right? There's a big dichotomy in when with the teams that are falling out of the race. How do you approach this deadline? And we've already seen it today. The Rangers were like approaching Jacob deGrom about maybe waiving the no trade clause, but then they actually reversed and said, we're going to buy or we're going to hold and see what happens. I don't know, man. There's a lot of non-committal, and I think that's we'll pause to make a criticism. I have generally liked a lot of the stuff that the league has changed to, but the expanded playoff, I don't think it's a good thing. And this deadline is a big reason for that. You only have 2 motivated sellers and they're gutting their teams.
Yeah.
That's frustrating. I think you need to maybe drop the one spot, go back to the single, maybe call that single game wild card game between the 2 wild cards, have that be a 3-game set in each league. And then I think that would be better for the health of the game. Now that we're going to expand, right, then I think you bring this format back because you have the 2 extra teams in the league to potentially add.
The problem is they're probably just going to continue to keep it how it is because of TV contracts at the moment, and then just be like, well, we're going to expand, and then we'll just keep it at that, and then that'll be kind of the way it is to, moving forward at least. But anyways, so we had one Angel that we just talked about getting traded. Let's go to a former Angel that has now been traded again, and that is Taylor Ward getting traded from the Orioles to the Mariners for Alex Hoppe, Harrison Kringling, and Brock Moore. This package is very, very head scratching to me.
Right.
The Dodgers just played the Mariners, so I saw Hoppe twice. Not very good. He's got a 5.79 ERA in 24 appearances this year. Kringling is 24 and has not pitched above low A yet. And then Brock Moore's 26, and he's got a 5.56 ERA in Double A this year.
Yeah.
This doesn't make a ton of sense for the Orioles.
And given the narrative that the right-handed hitter market was so bad, I really thought the Orioles were going to get a decent prospect for Taylor Ward. No, not really. This is definitely the most head scratching one. They made up for it. We'll talk about this Adley package here in a second. They've made up for it. This Adley package was nasty, but this package for Taylor Ward doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I'm not seeing the upside. I think someone said like this is a super underwhelming group, and I think I'm with you on this. The Mariners, they sold Luis Castillo, but they had mentioned they were going to do it. Rumors are they're still interested in trading one of George Kirby or Emerson Hancock, I'm sure with the intention of pulling Cade Anderson up to the majors for the stretch run here.
Don't you mean San Diego Padres, Cade Anderson?
Yeah. So the Mariners, another team that's kind of treading the water, where in a larger sample playoff or a smaller playoff field, they might be forced more to selling than otherwise. But we've also seen, we saw the Guardians make up 13 games on the Tigers 2 years ago. Like it's possible. You never know what happens at this point. So you just have to keep your team together and go on a run for the most part. But
just look at what the Red Sox have done. They were out of it, basically about to do it, and then they're now one of the hottest teams in baseball. Just swept the Dodgers in LA. Just acquired Adley Rutschman, and they're right now back into the thick of it all. So you just never know what's going to happen. They had a 15-game winning streak or something. It's just craziness at times. So the next one, we had the White Sox acquiring outfielder Brenton Doyle from the Colorado Rockies for right-handed pitcher Mason Adams and shortstop Carlos Vilma. Adams was the number 8 ranked prospect per pipeline in the White Sox system. Doyle is a very fantastic defensive center fielder, but kind of breakouts of like Jake McCarthy and even Mickey Moniak a little bit. I thought we would see Mickey Moniak go. We haven't yet. Maybe we still do, but it kind of made Doyle a little bit of expendable, and the White Sox have kind of needed, an outfielder if they're going to continue their push this year. So getting a guy of Doyle's caliber, who's a power speed guy and really good defensively, could really help.
Alrighty, well,
we have a Cubs Angels trade.
It's not the Cubs. It's not the Cubs Angels trade that we were expecting. However, Zephyr John has been quite strong. That's a good one. I'm guessing this is not an Owen Ayers type move. This is more of one of the AAA outfielders and a flyer pitcher. Brooks Capel might be one to look out for on this deal. That seems like a good spot for him. He's been rumored in a ton of deals this week. But yeah, Brenton Doyle. I want to shout out Tristan Peters for the White Sox. He's been awesome.
Bananas legend.
Braden Montgomery's been awesome for the White Sox as well. They've had a lot of really good breakouts this year, which is what's gotten them into this point. They've also got Sam Antonacci out there performing pretty well. The question for the White Sox is going to be, maintaining that. I think they're going to try to platoon and maybe slide the matchups into favor, right? Because I want to say Peters is also a righty. No, Peters is a lefty, but it's Antonacci that's a righty then, right? So they'll be able to, and then you got Benintendi's lefty, that you're just going to be able to run your best offense out there for every given day. I think that works. Overall, Doyle is, he struggled to hit this year, but maybe getting out of Colorado helps him or something. He's been one of the best defending outfielders in baseball. He probably gets there.
There always there's that sentiment always about how hard it is to hit in Colorado, then go on the road, and then come back to Colorado. Like it's so different. So I'm interested to see when guys leave Colorado, if they're able to, make that adjustment where it's a lot easier to do things here. So I like Doyle. I don't think they gave up a ton here. The Rockies targeting a pitcher from the White Sox org. You're just going to target pitching all the time. So it makes a ton of sense there. But let's move on to the next one now while we're waiting on the return or the full deal of Jefferson. And we had the Blue Jays now acquiring Josh Smith and Josh Steffen. So they're just acquiring all the Joshes from the Rangers for left-handed pitcher Adam Macko.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was when the Rangers kind of were looking to sell, but then flipped around and said, actually, we're going to buy, or we're going to hold pat at least. But Josh Smith's kind of been on the fence for things. So that's kind of to be expected that Josh Smith would get moved. I think Justin Foskew's broken out enough to where he's kind of superfluous in that infield. Boy, the Blue Jays love them a utility guy. That whole team's going to be utility guys. We mentioned Clements and Lucas, but you got Varsho can play a bunch of different positions. Vladdy Jr.'s played both first base and third base in his career. Like Jimenez has played a bunch of positions across the infield. Okamoto can probably play multiple positions. Like the whole team is just utility guys who can play anywhere. There's probably some value to that, but overall, Josh Smith he's kind of just squeezed out of a spot in Texas. Toronto, again, another team threading the needle, trying to do both. We'll see.
Yeah. All right, now the San Diego Padres, who have been in desperate need of a starting pitcher, acquire Robbie Ray from the San Francisco Giants for Miguel Mendez and Joanil Hernandez. Mendez was the 4th-ranked prospect, and Joanil Hernandez was the 9th-ranked prospect. I believe the Giants were also throwing in, I think it's half the contract or $2 million. I know they got his trade bonus, but they're also picking a little bit of that contract to make it easier for the Padres money-wise there. But the Padres have just been in desperate need of starting pitching. They're running a 3-man rotation in bullpen games the other time to kind of get away with it all. They have Pavetta and Musgrove are kind of, I think, starting throwing programs or starting rehab games or something like that. But They're just not there yet. So you need someone. And Ray is, especially in division, a left-hander who's given teams fits at times. I think he could be a really good fit there.
Yeah, Robbie Ray, he's past his prime. It's funny enough, he and Kevin Gausman both get moved at the deadline after signing 5-year deals. I think Gausman was 5 for 105. Ray was 5 for 115, if I remember correctly, back in 2021. Both guys really good over the course of both of those contracts. Robbie Ray got moved. He signed with Seattle, got moved to San Francisco for Mitch Haniger a couple of years ago. That said, the Padres need starting pitching. They need it so bad. They have been ravaged by injury nearly as badly as the Cubs, right? Michael King has missed time. Pivetta has missed most of the season. Yu Darvish has been down and basically retired at this point. Joe Musgrove has been out with an injury. I mean, that's 4 pitchers that you were probably counting on going into this season that have missed a lot of time. They've been relying on Walker Buehler. They've been relying on who's the other guy? Before I say the wrong name, Padres. They've been relying on his name, Kyle Hart. That's the one. And Randy Vasquez was the other one that they're relying on, basically. So getting Robbie Ray in here is great, and he'll start a playoff game for them. Is he going to be the Robbie Ray of old that's Cy Young winning and, striking out tons and tons of guys? Probably not. But that's a good acquisition for a team that desperately needs starting pitching. The cost is not extensive. Remember, the Padres farm system is atrocious. So the number 4 and number 8 for the Padres is like the number 14 and 18 for another system. That's probably basically exactly what you'd expect for a Robbie Ray type. I think this is a spot on deal and works really well.
Then we had the Rays acquiring Liam Hicks from the Marlins for Braden Taylor, Jacob Kinsting, and Adrian Santana.
Yeah, Liam Hicks going indicates the Marlins as sellers, and I like Braden Taylor, TCU third baseman. Thought he was real interesting coming out of the draft process. He has gotten stuck at Double-A a little bit. The Rays identifying to move him throws up some alarm bells in my head. But Hicks has really broken out as a catcher for the Marlins. That said, the Marlins also had Joe Mack breaking out this year too, so it kind of leads to that particular position being one of strength. The Marlins could go out and acquire some prospects. They take a shotgun approach instead of getting one really good one. They get 3 guys who are pretty interesting. I don't know much about Kisting or Santana. My initial thought is, well, the Rays were willing to move them. Probably nothing, but you can let down the line. We could see that show up in something. I do think Braden Taylor is the piece of note in this deal. Again, you look at it and I think they got more for Braxton Garrett than they got for Liam Hicks. So, I mean,
maybe. Well, the Rays catching duo now being Nick Fortes and Liam Hicks, which was the catching duo for the Marlins last year. Before they, it's kind of like Edward Cabrera and Braxton Garrett being in the same rotation and now both being Cubs. The Marlins love to double up on their trade partners.
Yep.
It sure seems like. But next move we had today was the Dodgers acquiring Chris Bubich from the Royals for right-handed pitcher Carlos Duran. Bubich obviously had that incredible season in, 2024 to start with, and then really good in 2025, but has been hurt, is on the 60-day IL right now, as a free agent at the end of the year. Duran was a Rule 5 guy this last year from the Dodgers, went to the A's, and they actually ended up returning him. So he's just kind of been in the org there. So Royals just getting someone who can throw in the org for Bubich, who's, most likely going to pitch late in the season, if any, and is going to hit the free agency market at the end of the year anyway. So there's a lot like what the Dodgers did with Danny Duffy from the Royals years ago. It's just a shot in the dark on getting a guy who could potentially do something for you if you need if chaos happens or something.
Yeah, this is a maybe depth playoff option, right? Would be my main bet. It would be like, hopefully that Bubich can step in and throw meaningful bullpen innings for the Dodgers, where you would think and maybe in September. I don't even know if Bubich is going to make it back, man. He's barely throwing. Like, he's going to need a ramp. He's been a reliever in the past, but I think the time it's going to take for him to ramp up after the surgery and stuff is just it's going to be a risky process, but the Dodgers are a team, and you know this as well as anybody that can afford to take a risk. What if Bubic does progress quickly, can get back pretty fast, wants to make a case before the free agency that he's fixed? We've seen it work. Walker Buehler got a nice deal, and looks like we finally got the return for Dustin May and Jojo Romero up there.
Yeah.
We'll get into that. But yeah, and Chris Bubic probably wants to get back. Right. He wants to make a case that he's healthy, that the arm is good. What better place to do that than in the playoffs for the Dodgers? Right. Walker Buehler got a big deal on that a couple of years ago. So I think Bubic is going to be an interesting free agency case. This helps it for sure. Right. If a team is willing to acquire him, he's not going to be pitching in September for the Royals. Right. He's got a little bit more of a runway to get back. That makes sense. I think it's a good deal for him. The Dodgers obviously don't need the help, but like they're going to take it because they can. So that'll work.
All right. So then we had our big blockbuster that happened just as we were about to go live here. You know, we thought we had two. Seems like we only had one. But that is Adley Rutschman getting traded to the Boston Red Sox along with Jake Rogers, who they just got after he was DFA'd from the Tigers. And going back to the Orioles is pitching prospect Anthony Ianson and Kyson Witherspoon, Carlos Narvaez, who is a backup catcher, and then Endy Azokar. And I think there's also a player to be named later because there was another outfield prospect that was initially in this, but it says that it's not. So it's probably a player to be named later there. But man, I mean, Ianson and Witherspoon, Ianson especially, he's probably going to have an argument to be one of the top 3 or 4 best pitching prospects in baseball. Witherspoon was also a very highly rated pick at the time from this last year's draft. Obviously, Narvaez is a catcher that can help go in right now and be the backup there with Basayo. And Azokar is also a decent prospect there. But I mean, Adley Rutschman, a year, and I think what he's a rental. I think a year and a half left on the deal.
Right.
You get him through next year. But this is a big move for the Red Sox. Catcher has been one of the spots they've struggled with. And to go out and kind of solidify it with a guy who Rutschman has kind of really bounced back. He's obviously on the IL with a wrist issue at the moment, but man, this is a big deal.
Yeah, this is a huge deal. Ianson was number 49 on Pipeline. I've seen him ranked as high as top 30 by some folks who just really love his overall makeup. This is a guy that if you listen to our draft show, I want to say 2 years ago. At this point, he might have been last year. I think it was actually last year.
It was last year.
It was last year, right? We talked to Greg Zumack. We talked about LSU. And I think LSU won the championship last year, right? Did they not? They did, right?
Last year. Yeah, not the one that just happened, but the year before.
The one, last year's College World Series. We talked about LSU because when we talked about all the college players that were available, we talked about who was going to be really good to watch on LSU because we thought they would make a deep run. One of those guys was Anthony Ianson, who has taken that big next step in the Red Sox pitching development stream. Now, I think Witherspoon was their first round pick that year as well. The Red Sox also have a lot of pitching prospects. They've certainly been able to deal from strength to address weaknesses on the major league team, which is certainly a good strategy. I would describe it as a good strategy. It's something you should be doing. But I mean, I look at Ianson and Witherspoon as that's a lot for Adley Rutschman. This feels like easily the biggest overpay thus far that we've seen. I thought there's been a lot of underpays, a lot of teams, I feel like that got the major league talent they were looking for. But I mean, you think this package probably could have netted the Red Sox maybe a more impactful bat because Rutschman is more of a defensive catcher, but maybe this is prepping for the Red Sox to make a big money offer for Adley Rutschman, try to get him extended before the CBA expires this offseason. I think there's a real possibility of that. Maybe Adley wanted to go here and the Red Sox were able to hold that over their heads to try and deal Adley to a place they wanted to go. But I mean, it's a big deal. The Adley Rutschman, who, was drafted 1 overall, he's kind of deemed he brought that kind of culture, the winning culture into the Orioles, but struggled the last 2-3 seasons, struggled with injuries a lot. He's still worth this much. That's where I'm like, wow. Because I think Ianson is pretty pretty valuable at this particular point. And that's the kind of guy you deal for the best available player. And is that Adley Rutschman? I don't know if it was, but maybe.
Yeah, I mean, Adley had bounced back this year, had been pretty decent. I mean, at a 115 WRC plus again, and is really good defensively. So, like, that started looking like the guy you initially thought you were getting the first couple years in that deal, or when he first came up here. So, I understand it, but it makes a lot more sense if you're willing to, extend him, and if he's willing to stay there, which will be pretty interesting. What is this? Trying to make sure. Just trying to see who. Angels are getting Moises Ballesteros and Mason McGuire for
Wow, Mo. Wow.
Yeah.
That's so you have to really that's okay. So live reaction time. Finally, we made it to live reaction time. My initial thought is I think the explosion of Owen Ayers, who was a 19th round prospect, by the way, who has turned in 90th percentile exit velocities and the 100th percentile pop times behind the plate, that explosion, I think, has shuffled the Reed Detmers deal and allowed Moises Ballesteros to be an expendable enough talent. Mo is a great hitter. He is an awesome hitter. The issue for Mo was always going to be, can he catch? I think his biggest problem is catching. He looks okay. The couple of games he caught for the Cubs were fine. But yeah, so in case you are missing it, tuning in, listening in, Moises Ballesteros, and you said Mason McGuire for Ryan Zefferjan.
Yep.
That feels light, but also heavy at the same. Does that make sense? I maybe just spitting. Moises Ballesteros is a guy that we have fallen in love with as Cubs fans. He had a major grand slam earlier the year, but he started to struggle as the full-time DH and had to get sent back down. He's not hit as well since going back down either. I started to wonder if he would have any value on the trade market. This very clearly indicates he was still valuable on the trade market, because I think people were saying that the Cubs were going to need to deal a top 5 prospect for Zefferjan. And I was thinking, please don't let it be Owen Ayers, because it feels like Owen Ayers kind of is this next year's catcher.
It felt like
Jefferson Rojas could have been on the table, but I guess if it's this case, right, Moises Ballesteros certainly still has that value, even though he's played at the major league level and has dropped off of the prospect lists.
Yeah. What I honestly feel like happens, I think Zefferjan and Detmers were initially in a deal to come to the Cubs, which probably would have had Ayers and some other stuff in there. And I think that the Detmers part of it potentially got hung up on something else. And then the Cubs, just pivoted to, instead of doing both, let's just get Zefferjan. And then that's where you went and got Braxton Garrett to kind of fill that Detmers part, the left-handed pitching part there. And then this feels like the Angels have something else set up for Detmers. I think we're pretty sure that Detmers is going to go by the end of the deadline, which we're just under 2 hours now until the deadline exactly. So Angels still have some work to do. You got Jorge Soler, you got Kirby Yates, you got Detmers, and then the potential has been around about Zach Neto the entire time. The big name had always been the Red Sox with them, but seeing the package they gave it for Adley, would they really be willing to do like
if I had to speculate, and this is pure speculation, not sourced, pure speculation. I bet this is what the package the Red Sox were trying to get Neto with. And the Angels turned him down, wanted more for Neto, and the Red Sox were already willing to deal Ianson, Witherspoon. So they said, why don't we go ask around and see what we can get for the two of them? The result they got back was because it was pitching. They don't need pitching. Adley Rutschman, and went with Adley Rutschman. That's what I'm going to suggest is the process behind the Red Sox move there. It makes some sense. I'll also go in and say, why wouldn't the Angels take that for Zach Neto? That seems like a pretty good deal. they obviously are asking for RES. They're trying to maximize the value, but as we get close to the deadline, you're going to get nothing. And Zach Neto's still going to be an angel. The value is going to decrease. The desperation's getting lower and lower for certain teams. Maybe you can go talk to the Braves. The Braves certainly have some interesting pitching prospects. They don't have any Franklin Ariases though. So
no. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens there. I mean, it's not like you have to trade Neto, but if you're doing all this, you might as well at that moment. But I mean, we have a couple. Let's just get through these last little ones before we start talking everything else. So obviously, we're talking about the Cubs here with the Jefferson deal. So let's talk about Braxton Garrett going there for Johnny Long and Jay Speck.
From what I've seen, and I luckily I've been able to cool down. I like Johnny Long. Think he's a really good prospect, but he's going to struggle with. He's got a very Bo Bichette-ish swing, and so what he's going to struggle with, he's going to hit 10 home runs in a month, which is what he did this last month, and then he's going to go through a stretch where he just can't. He can't elevate the ball. He grounds everything out. So the swing is very, it's short, it's uppercut-ish, and it works really well when it's on. But when it's not on, it's really bad. And he was not good for the first quarter of the season, turned it around late. But I've loved that prospect. Another late round hitting prospect the Cubs took that has really exploded. We've seen those guys get dealt over the past couple of seasons because the Cubs have just a ton of controlled guys. They're going to have some space opening up in the corner outfield. I did wonder if Johnny Long couldn't maybe take over as the left fielder next season if it was going to come down to that. That said, he's not played any left field, so that was going to be a stretch anyway. But yeah, I liked him as a prospect. I don't know about giving him up for Braxton Garrett. What I've seen already early on is that Braxton Garrett is a developmental piece, a guy the Cubs are going to try to stash in AAA and hold on to for a bit. He's not got to go to the majors right now. That's interesting. It may be a pivot from the Detmers thing. It may have been something that the Cubs were already interested in because they've been scouting the Marlins and trying to get Braxton Garrett for a couple of seasons. I don't exactly know. I do want to touch on Jay Speck, who I do know is a guy that I think he signed as a non-draft free agent and has risen all the way up to AAA. He has struggled since getting to AAA, but has like a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. So high upside, big volatility. You just don't know what you're going to get with a guy like that. Johnny Long's the prize here for the Marlins. The Marlins need bats. I think Johnny Long could probably get promoted tomorrow and hit 250 with 10 homers the rest of the way. Like, it's real possible. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a good trade for the Marlins. I think you get a sizable return for not a ton. In Braxton Garrett, who's the guy they didn't trust to go into the rotation. Cubs get a projectable piece that's controlled that could potentially, make some adjustments and fill it out. The thing I saw was Lance Brozdowski said, "Oh, guess who cuts his fastball?" The Cubs went for it. Braxton Garrett, because it's what the Cubs do. They go get a cut fastball and they try to get the pitcher to, throw that at the top of the zone and get success with it. And that's been something they've been rolling for quite a long time. It works. So I'm good with that.
Dalton Varsho is close to going to the Astros
for Arrighetti.
Spencer Arrighetti. Wow. That's interesting.
Do the Astros have another move in there to get a starter back?
Varsho is a rental.
Right.
And you're trading Arrighetti for that. Wow. Very, very interesting. Yeah, that one's a little head scratching. Let's get to
San just sent it.
Yeah. So they already know what's happening. Yeah, the Jays. I mean, dang, you're getting Jose Soriano and Arrighetti. You're trading away Bieber. I mean, you're setting yourself up for next year for sure. Both of those guys are decent options to move forward with, especially if you can get Arrighetti healthy. I mean, when he's healthy, he strikes out a ton of people, and you already got Cease as well. So pretty good start to a rotation for you.
Right. Arrighetti he's got the stuff, but the Astros couldn't unlock it, and he couldn't stay healthy. So good change of scenery candidate. Great acquisition in a rental type deal for Varsho. And then the Astros desperately need the outfield help. That's been one of the worst outfields in baseball minus Yordan. who has obviously been one of the best, right? But the
Also
other
should be an
positions
outfielder.
have not been good. He should be DHing. So it's good for
I even
the
forgot.
Astros, I think overall.
Still have you Savage too. I don't know why we totally blanked on that, but
they got Trey. He's been okay.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like,
he's been good.
A lot of potential there, but Cease, Savage, Soriano, Arrighetti.
It all of a sudden becomes a really solid rotation. Tiedemann's finally on his way back as well. If that arm could stay together, that guy's got really nasty stuff.
What I will say is, with that rotation, you might set the record for walks as a starting rotation. That is just absolutely crazy between all of those guys. But all right, we got two more until we're like fully caught up here. So we talked a little bit about it, but Luke Weaver going to the Pirates for Sammy Stafura.
Yeah, this Stafura had gone. Who did they get? The Pirates got. It was Key Brian Hayes. They got him from the Reds.
There you go.
For Key Brian Hayes. That was the return, and they turned and flipped Stafura for Luke Weaver, who, I mean, Luke Weaver's been elite for the Mets. He's been their best reliever and was real intriguing across the board. The money owed for next season was a little bit questionable. I'm guessing if it's Bob Nutting, he's probably assuming that there's not going to be much of a season, doesn't need to pay very much. So he won't owe Luke Weaver all of that money. But overall, I mean, it's a good deal. This is kind of what you take a helium young prospect crushing a lower level of the minors and use them for, especially if it's not one that's kind of being projected as a future major league star. So I think Stafura is a good get for the Mets. You could certainly see him when the Mets turn around to buy in a couple of years being used in that sense as well. He could maybe make it up to the majors. Overall, I mean, it's a reliever deal, but you got a helium prospect that's certainly going up in value right now, as opposed to maybe like even the Zephyr deal where Moises Ballesteros, I think, had dropped in value, and the Angels go get him. So,
and then last but not least, we got Dustin May and JoJo Romero going from the Cardinals to the Brewers for Alexander Frias and Josiah Ragsdale. Frias, I think, is a kind of insane prospect to get on a rental here. He was going to probably start making top 100 lists in the next update if he's not already there. That's just, I mean, for both of those guys are rentals. I know May had some flashes, but that's kind of crazy. But then again, I mean, if the Brewers are trading those guys, then something has to. If they're trading them in division, also you have to know that something is up there.
The briefest of looks. I clicked on Frias. He had a 189 WRC plus on the complex. Moved up to A ball as an 18-year-old. Has a 93 WRC plus right now in A ball. That said, the amount of times I've seen a player who, I mean, he's 6'2", according to this is 177. That seems like it's probably not true anymore, but the amount of times I've seen a player struggle in their first foray into pro ball off the complex, half a season or so, and then the next year they come off and they go absolutely berserk. It's a lot of times. It's a very common theme, especially for top-ish prospects. I'm guessing, Frias will get a post-trade bump. Even after the Brewers trade him away, I think if the Cardinals are a very solid development franchise, they tend to, I mean, they held things close to the chest. Obviously, Burleson still could go. Nootbaar could maybe still go. They've got a few more pieces they could deal off, but with the Cardinals signaling a sell here and acquiring a Frias, it's clear they're looking for reinforcements down the line. They're not necessarily targeting those like close to MLB guys.
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting deal. And I'm Nootbaar is a guy who's kind of been rumored for a couple years to go and hasn't yet. Now he's fully healthy, playing well. I could see teams being on him. And we've already had today talk about, Alec Burleson and potentially teams like the Padres or something else being interested in him there. So as of that moment, that catches us up fully to all of the trades that have happened so far.
So on the outlook, what we still kind of expect, I still expect we see some sort of a Detmers deal today. I think that's pretty much there. There'll obviously be some other rentals. Keep your eyes on seeing if Casey Mize goes. Seems like Detroit might not do that now. They're only 2.5 games out of a wild card spot at the moment. Maybe they think they can maybe still compete with Mize there. Look at the Mets. You have Clay Holmes, Luis Robert, and Tyrone Taylor, who are apparently expected to go. We don't know any other. Like, there could be shock names all over the place that gets dealt.
Sure.
But
I think Antonio Sensatella goes from the
Sensatella.
Rockies. He's a good one. Forrest Griffin or Foster Griffin could still go from the Nationals. That would be a rental starter that could get traded here. I would say maybe that's a Brave type option.
Potentially.
D-backs are definitely looking for another starter.
We're also looking at a bat.
Yeah.
You should go for a bat as well.
So lefty?
Who?
Sounds like if the D-backs are going for a bat, they want a lefty, right? Because they have a whole lot of righties, Corbin Carroll.
Yeah. I think potentially a thing kind of that's kind of been speculated a little bit is maybe if they go and look for like a lefty first baseman or something.
Alec Burleson sure is that. So that might be the solution, actually.
There's Alec Burleson. You could even potentially look at Nolan Schanuel if the Angels are looking to trade people. You just got Mo, who probably is not a catcher. You probably have Trout going to have to start transitioning to some more of a DH here and there. So maybe they give Mo a look at first. So it'll be some interesting things. Like, get another thing saying the Blue Jays are taking some calls on Jose Soriano, but I think there's still plenty of action. I mean, we got about an hour and 45 minutes until the deadline, so we got a ton of stuff that we have to still kind of fill here. So if you guys have any questions or whatever, let us know. Drop them in the thing.
For sure.
Take some more of your guys' questions or trade proposals or anything along the line. We're not the best people to evaluate trade proposals all the time, but we'll give it a shot here. So just thinking,
who's the other controlled star? One of the Mariners starters could still go as well. Kirby, Hancock.
Yeah.
You would wonder whether Randy Arozarena, who is a free agent at the end of the year, maybe gets dealt from the Mariners.
I saw a thing that they
are
going to keep Randy.
Taco Bell.
If you want to
any questions?
Yeah, just make sure if you're going to have Taco Bell, you have a restroom nearby you. Just saying.
Definitely get some lettuce out.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, I'll tell you, anytime. All right. I saw a report they're probably keeping Randy. I guess the idea would be to slot Taylor Ward into right field, and then have that just kind of be your outfield moving forward. But if you're doing that, then what are you getting for a Hancock or Kirby?
I don't know. Yeah, I think the deal I saw, and maybe this is where the Cubs pivot since there's no Detmers deal, maybe would be to go talk about Kirby for either Matt Shaw or Pedro Ramirez, another MLB caliber bat. Pedro has been really, really fun. Maybe. I really like watching him hit. I kind of hope he doesn't get dealt, which is where it's like, well, then in that case, then it hurts, obviously. Oh, and you got Trevor Larnach, who's still like on the table from the Twins. I was also thinking about the Orioles. They are still technically a seller. Real possibility Trevor Rogers, who is a free agent next year, gets traded today as well, I would bet. They've also got a bunch of relievers, the Orioles, that you could move. Kittredge. I wouldn't be shocked if he just goes back to the Cubs again. Right. that would still make sense even after getting Zephyr John here.
Obviously, Ynier Cano signed that extension.
Right. Taking him probably
off the market.
Yep.
And obviously Batista's been hurt, so not sure there. But
the other ones, Tyler Wells could theoretically get on the market. I wouldn't be surprised to see them try to sell high on Rico Garcia, who's been very, very good. So look at Ryan Helsley obviously has another year on the deal. He's hurt. He's been kind of bad. They probably hang on to him. They obviously are going to hang on to Bautista. But yeah, so Orioles are another one of those sellers. But I mean, I keep looking for like the A's to do something. Do we think somebody's going to trade for JT Ginn today? Like, I don't know.
I don't know. I think you could potentially see maybe a Jonah Heim. You got teams looking for backup catching options all the time. The White Sox have said that. I mean, the Yankees, they potentially wanted another catcher to go get Heim. Maybe Tyler Stevenson is a guy who we probably expect to go at some point today. There's kind of a bunch of stuff in the air that could happen. And just you kind of need one domino to fall to kind of open up the other side of everything else. But
trying to look at the Royals as well for like a bullpen arm. They obviously moved to Bubic, but they've got like Daniel Lynch sitting in the bullpen. He's got a 2 ERA, throws 95. He could be
Urseg?
He could probably be Lucas Urseg. Lucas Urseg has really struggled this year.
Yeah, but you can have a team wanting to buy.
Yeah, but pulling him in as a playoff team is tough when that guy has struggled so badly. Like he's a 6.3 ERA and a 5.4 FIP. Like he is not pitching well. Walking as many as he's striking out. It's weird.
It just wonders if a team says, "Hey, there's a fix here. We see a mechanical fix, or we see something high upside." So you could potentially do that. But again, the Royals also, they haven't been willing to trade, Seth Lugo or Michael Wacha because they still want to compete next year. And it's like, well, those guys are like upper 30s.
Yeah,
and you're talking about like, they're going to help us compete next year when they've been bad this year.
Right.
So like, I don't know what you want or to expect. So
let's
continue looking.
I'm just perusing the obvious sellers. I mentioned Senzatella, looking at the Rockies. I wouldn't be totally surprised if Tomoyuki Sugano gets moved today. I just don't think anybody's really searching for a innings eating 5 that's going to be in the playoffs. I don't think people need pitching that badly.
Yeah.
Ryan Feltner could be real interesting as a like a controlled pitcher to try and trade for, though I'm guessing the Rockies still have a high price tag on Feltner. Rocky relievers are obviously they traded Seth Halverson to the Dodgers already, but Jimmy Herget's been a name that's been floated around, a guy who's getting shredded by the Coors field dimensions there. I just at this point, right, I would also not be surprised to see some of those teams that are on the fringe step into a dual buy sell role. Like we could, like how the Twins are kind of trading away Larnach, but also bought a couple of pieces earlier this week. Wouldn't be surprised to see somebody like the Blue Jays maybe even continue along that path and trade somebody else away that's maybe not under a ton of control. Like they'll probably keep Tyler Rogers, but could they send off Jeff Hoffman?
Yeah, I could see that.
Like he's got another 2 years of control, right? Both of them do, but Hoffman has been a lot more volatile than Rogers. Rogers obviously super steady, and I don't know who's going to be excited to pay for the guy who doesn't strike anybody out, but he just gets outs all the time. How reliable is that, right? But at the same time, do you sell high? He's got a 1.65 ERA. Like, does anybody take that? I'm not sure. I mean, the Pirates just sent a legitimate prospect for Luke Weaver. I think both Hoffman and Rogers are more valuable than Weaver, with one more year of actual salary.
No, Weaver's been great this year. He's been fantastic.
Tyler Rogers is a 1.65 ERA. Like,
yeah.
At some point that matters.
So Brian McTaggart, who's a Houston guy, said Astros are still trying to make another deal for a pitcher.
Okay. Which would follow after trading away
trading Arrighetti. So we'll be on the look for what that would be. And then we've got the Heyman obviously put the Larnach thing with the Padres, Larnach, Burleson, Newbar. I wonder if you could see potentially one of the relief pitchers. Like maybe it's like a Jeremiah Estrada or something to Minnesota. They kind of wanted to get more bullpen arms. You know, we thought we had the Larnach for Brian Abreu trade, and then Jim Craig nixed it. So I wonder if you see maybe Estrada for a Larnach or something like that. Like that would help kind of fit that a little bit, because it doesn't. Mason Miller's not going anywhere. Their ask was Cade Anderson apparently for that, and then apparently Adrian Morejon. There was talks with the Yankees about Will Warren and a prospect, and those apparently didn't go anywhere. So it doesn't seem like either one of those are going anywhere. But you could see Estrada potentially going somewhere. You know, if it helps fill a need with the Burleson or Larnach or something like that to help fill one of those, either outfield or first base or something. But I mean, Ty France has been really good for them too. So it's not sure that first base is very much a necessity right away.
Yeah, I'm looking at Cardinal relievers potentially. I don't think Riley O'Brien gets moved.
Yeah. They already traded JoJo.
Yeah, JoJo's already gone. I mean, Ryan Stanek probably doesn't have a ton of value. He could just be a player to be named later type of guy. Cash considerations on the move for somebody who just needs some help in the bullpen. Again, that's maybe a twin kind of an option, right? Where you stay cheap, keep your prospects, but go get a guy who has a major league fastball, and that's about it. Maybe the Reds. The Reds haven't really done anything thus far. They have a crop of outfielders that are kind of intriguing.
Yeah, there was even the report that the Reds are going to. It seems like Brady Singer is going to stick with the Reds. They won't trade him at the deadline.
I'm guessing that's because nobody believes in him that much. That would be my.
He has a 4.35 ERA, but it's just a back end guy. But
I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to sell on TJ Anton, but it just seems like the Reds are gonna stand pat. I haven't heard anything on them.
I mean, maybe see like Tyler Stevenson or something like that.
Right. Stevenson was the other one.
Or Lowe. Daniel Lowe is another name that potentially could go.
Mentioning the first baseman, I mean, there's Lowe. But the Reds just been very weirdly quiet for a team that's in the basement, in the cellar, in the NL Central. You know, with a talented group, but a team that has routinely struggled to play to those expectations. Obviously, there were some Hunter Green reports. I think those got scuttled when the Dodgers got Skubal. That felt like the only way it would happen was somebody else gets Skubal, and then the Dodgers go and pivot and get Hunter Green for a big package.
Not that I have too many things, but I had heard a rumor that the Dodgers were even still in on Green after Skubal, Sunday, but that has not been. I've not heard anything else about that potentially.
That seems forward. Yeah, that seems like it would have been look. You look at the Dodgers rotation. There's just nowhere to put Hunter Green, right? Like,
I think there's real uncertainty about what Shohei Ohtani's knee and bicep are going to be like pitching wise. It doesn't affect him nearly as much when he's at the plate or when he is running. But when he's really pitching, that's when it kind of really, really affects him. So I think there's that. Mm-hmm. And then the lines of like, well, Evan Sheen's been bad. Robleski's already getting ready to an innings limit. And then like Roki has found it recently, but
he's been unreliable. Yeah.
He's been unreliable. So it's like, okay, then you have Snell and Glass now both coming back from injuries. Like what is your, all the question marks? Like the only thing you have is Yamamoto really for sure. So I think there had been that stuff of like,
they won a World Series with just Yamamoto. So
probably
all right. And now they have Skubal, who's definitely a sure thing.
So I think that's why that kind of like went away from there. So, but it seems like we might have some stuff coming down the pipeline. We'll just have to wait and see. But Matt, welcome in. Thanks for joining us finally.
What's going on?
It's about time you woke up from your nap.
My nap, also known as having a job.
That too.
Yeah, we had jobs. We just lined it up for it.
Yeah.
If my boss is watching this, I just told you I'm not coming in. Deal with it.
There you go.
So obviously, Matt, we've caught up with all of the trades throughout the time. We've went all the way back from the Logan Hoppy deal pretty much to current there. But just give us some of your kind of quick thoughts as we're waiting for some of these deals to kind of come through on the big deals we've seen happen. Obviously, the Skubal, maybe Freddie Peralta, then the Soriano, Adley Rutschman, kind of those moves.
Yeah, so I think the Scooble deal was kind of the first big one that broke, and obviously that was just it was that kind of news that was expected, and you knew it was coming, but you're still like, how in the world is this going on? So I think that I'm not surprised the return for Scooble was a little bit less than I think some people anticipated. It wasn't that long ago that Scooble had a elbow injury this year and missed some time, and he's obviously been an incredible pitcher again this year, but he's also a rental, and rental starting pitchers aren't necessarily the top of the line.
Yeah.
The top thing to get. Like you're going to expect to see the idea that they were going to get 2 or 3 top 100 prospects for him as a rental was kind of crazy. That's reserved for a very rare situation where like a Shohei Ohtani could have gotten that when he was a rental at that deadline, but that was a totally different thing. So I think it was a good I think it was a good move for the Dodgers. Obviously, I mean they've got that prospect capital that it just doesn't matter. I mean, and a lot of people talking about the amount of money the Dodgers have spent on their payroll and how that affects this trade. It's not necessarily that the money that they have on their payroll, like they needed a ton of payroll space to make this trade. I think the big thing is just that they have not had to use their prospect capital in order to get guys in the past. And so they've been able to go sign everybody in free agency they needed. And that's part of the way they've been able to stack their farm system. Now they've also drafted really well and they've made good trades in the past. Like, I mean, I know that this specific situation was from the Michael Bush trade is where they got Zaire Hope, right? So, it's just one of those things that I think that, the Dodgers have done a great job and they've played within the rules, but there are a lot of issues with the way that team's been able to be constructed. People can go dive into it more, but I think it's an easy team to dislike right now for sure.
Yep.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But some of the other moves that have been made, I'm not surprised the return was pretty light on Freddie Peralta. I don't know why. I don't know what made the Mets reporters think that they could possibly get a top 100 prospect for him. He's been bad this year, and he's a rental, and he's got a good track record, and he probably will be good since he's with the Rays now. But that was one that I thought was not a huge surprise. I think that let's see what are some of the other big ones. That Adley Rutschman.
Yeah,
I'm pretty surprised about that one. I'm not shocked the Orioles were ready to move on from him. He's been a good player, but he's been a little bit disappointing as not being a superstar player that he was expected to be in a lot of ways, especially after putting up the numbers he did his rookie year and his second year in the big leagues. He hadn't been the same guy. He's dealt with some injuries. He's a free agent after next year. I'm not super surprised the Orioles moved on from him. I'm surprised the Red Sox paid the price they did for it, and I'm also surprised that they moved him in division. So I think the Red Sox maybe had to pay up a little extra to get them to move him in division. And also it sounded like the Yankees might have been in on him too. So I think it was kind of we're going to overpay what the Yankees want to give them in that trade as well.
There was some speculation about the Yankees not being very, very happy with the medicals of Adley there. So that was a big holdup too. Like we heard about this deal early in the morning. And it kind of like had held out there. Apparently the Red Sox were just kind of going through medicals with like a fine tooth comb.
Absolutely. If you're going to give up the package they give up for him, you have to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the Jose Soriano, I guess, is the other big one that's happened. There's been a ton of big ones that have happened, but that was one that was kind of the top of the market type guy. I'm surprised that the Blue Jays went after him. I'm not a huge fan of Soriano. I think that he had a really good couple of months, but the stuff has ticked back a little bit and he hasn't been quite as good. And it's one of those guys that's kind of come up out of nowhere. So
no, he's been pretty good for a couple of years. He's been one of those.
Now. He's had stuff for a few years, but it's not necessarily a place where he's like been. It's not like he has this like superstar pedigree and he's finally putting it all together. Like
Matt, he had a 3.80 ERA in 2024, a 3.80 FIP in 2024, a 3.73 FIP in 2025, and a 3.79 FIP this season.
Yeah. Well, I'm not
he's been very, very good on an unheralded Angels team.
Yeah.
He walks too many guys, right? That's the bottom line. He walks too many guys. That's been the hard part to get around. But he gets a ton of grounders. He's been a very successful pitcher for F WAR particularly. I think this is a very good pitcher that's definitely deserving of the star label that he might actually get now that he's been traded for a top prospect and he's moving to a much bigger market in Toronto.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say that I think that I'm not trying to diminish him and say he's not a good pitcher, because Jose Soriano has been a good pitcher, a very good pitcher. I'm just saying that they really did pay a huge price, because I know Arjun Namala, he was a high draft pick, and he's got a pretty good track record of hitting in the minor leagues. He's been in Double-A for Toronto this year as a 20-year-old, and he also plays a really good shortstop. So, I mean, I think that's a big prospect to give up, and among other guys too. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not. If I'm the Blue Jays, I'm wondering what their plan is going forward. I guess is probably the best way to put it. I don't know if their plan is to.
We did talk about it. You know, you've got a very winnable rotation next season with Cease, Savage, Soriano anchoring it, and then potentially others. But like, it's a good rotation to fire up for next year. Great top three, playoff caliber.
Yeah, the rotation's good for next year. It's just you kind of look at their lineup, and it's going to all come down to. They got a lot of work to do if they're going to be good next year. I mean, Vlad. He's going to have to figure it out.
Yeah. They got to get Vlad back to form.
George Springer's probably going to be gone, if I had to guess.
Well, we literally went this whole time. We were speculating on guys. George Springer's probably gone, right?
I said George Springer.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
That's one.
I said him.
I'm hoping the Cubs and Blue Jays get back together. I'd like to see Springer in a Cubs uni.
Just to wrap up the Luke Weaver thing, because we mentioned it there.
Yeah.
The Mets are taking on $2 million of the contract this year and $6 million of that $11 million for next year.
Wow.
For a part of that deal. So
that helps make more sense as to why they got Stafura in that particular deal, because Stafura is a legit prospect. And it really made sense that Bob Nutting was going to be willing to pay a reliever $11 million. So it makes sense that the Mets are covering some of that.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that they're paying, because Luke Weaver has been really good this year, and he's under control next year too. Obviously I wasn't expecting them to get a top 100 prospect for him, but I'm a little surprised they were able to get a prospect the level of Stafura for him too.
That's what kind of what we were wondering. It was like, wow, that's a lot, but also at the very least, the money is getting covered a little bit because he is under control for next season.
Yeah, I mean, Stafura is having a good year in Double-A, or in Low A or High A. Sorry, he's in High A, but he's not been like Fangraphs has him ranked as the 19th prospect in the Pittsburgh Pirates organization coming into the day. So, you're thinking an elite reliever for that. I don't know. It probably depends on what you think of Luke Weaver, but he's been borderline elite this year. So.
We're still just waiting. We've got under 90 minutes now until the deadline. Obviously, we'll have deals trickle in a few minutes after or whatever. But all the same, I mean, we're still waiting on all the people we're talking about there before Matt joined. I mean, you got so many pieces that can still go here. We'll see if the Angels are able to pull off Neto and Detmers. I don't know at this point. It seems like it might just be a Detmers deal. We haven't heard any smoke around Neto at all today.
Yeah, nothing on Neto.
So we'll see. They have a couple of the rentals with Kirby Yates and Jorge Soler that maybe the Braves want Soler again or something.
Yeah. Well, I'll say that I think that the Braves are gonna get another starter at some point. I don't know if it'll be a good one, but I think I'd just be shocked if they didn't actually do it. And I think the Yankees are gonna do something too.
We mentioned that. We had a question about it earlier too, and we said the same thing. We think the Braves will get some sort of a starter. We kind of speculated Clay Holmes a little bit. It doesn't seem like Casey Mize is going to go. It seems like the Tigers might want to hold on to him a little bit more at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand that too very much at all. I mean, if you're the Tigers right now, you just sold your best player. Why? Like, you need to sell if you're going to sell. I mean, if you're going to sell Scooble, why are you going to hold all your other guys and just let them go? Like,
well, there's the argument of you could potentially re-sign Casey Mize.
Well, I mean, you could trade him and then sign him. I mean,
yeah, but it's harder at that point.
Maybe
still there. Like, Jackson Jobe is about to come back. He's been throwing the ball really well. You're going to get, like, if you get River Ryan, if you want to bring him up, you can do that. Like, and they're 2.5 games out. Like, I understand the opportunity of saying, hey, we can trade Scooble and get this stuff for him while also still trying to compete for a playoff spot this year. So,
yeah, I mean, I'm just I'm on board with, like, you know, the thing. One of the things with the Tigers is too, and this is a conversation that I think needs to be had about a lot of the borderline teams that are on that buy sell line. Is if you do sneak into the last spot in the playoffs, do you have any chance of winning? And I think the question has to be asked to the Tigers. Without Scooble, they don't have a chance of winning in the playoffs. I mean,
technically a deal. Like, I can't even. Who is Nolan Hoffman?
I don't.
It's
is that a backfill from a previous deal? Because John Heyman's not. Did the Phillies and Royals make a deal earlier? Okay.
Yeah. No, it's just, I don't know. It's just a swap for a swap or something.
Yeah.
Let's see. Nolan Hoffman.
It's probably something to do with 40-man spots, if I had to guess.
Now, that's something that I do want to briefly talk about. It doesn't even look like Hoffman is on the major league team.
Oh, he was DFA'd. He was DFA'd
Okay.
earlier today.
Fantastic. Okay, so there is, at the end of the year, there will be the Rule 5 draft. You guys know about it, but our viewers may not.
Well,
we might still have. Presumably,
probably not.
I don't think that's on the table for getting next on either proposal.
Well,
that'll be there.
It usually happens during winter meetings, and we're getting locked out before the winter meetings. So
there may not be one this year, but you do. I think still there will eventually be a Rule 5 draft before the start of the 2027 season, whenever that may be. It might be next July for all we know. But there's a lot of teams that are going to be chock full of prospects that are kind of major league-ish ready, that are going to need 40-man spots next year. The Cubs right now have about 10 of them. At least for one, and I'm sure there are others that, you know, once you're in the majors or in the organization for, I think it's 4 seasons, so it'll be 2022 draftees. Those guys are going to all be, you know, ready to. They either get promoted or they're available for getting popped in the Rule 5, and so you are certainly going to be willing to trade those guys. One of the guys that was in that bucket was Johnny Long, I believe, for the Cubs, who just moved. Real possible that some other of those types of guys get moved here as we go down to the deadline.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Alexander Frias? Is that got traded for Dustin May? I'm trying to figure out if that's the right guy that I'm looking at on Fangraphs.
He's 18, formerly in the Milwaukee system. Yeah.
Well, he was. Fangraphs had him as a top 50 prospect.
That is correct. Fangraphs loves to take the complex results and translate those maybe quickly, and it works for them sometimes, because sometimes they hit on like Roman Anthony or Jesus Mate or some of those types of guys. Sometimes it really doesn't, and Fangraphs kind of looks like it believed in a guy too early.
Yeah, well, and Ragsdale, the other guy in that trade, like his numbers in the minors are insane. That's a wild trade for the Brewers to make.
Look, I just think the Brewers are cheating. It's what it boils down to, and the Cardinals are getting fooled by it.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, I Frias was kind of the instant reaction was, holy cow, this guy's getting traded for Dustin May. So
Clay Holmes and Tyrone Taylor to the Cubs for Jefferson Rojas.
What?
Whoa.
What?
Per John Heyman right here.
What the hell?
That's a crazy one.
I'm assuming that's Jefferson Rojas.
It's got to be.
The Yankees have agreed to trade shortstop Anthony Volpe to the Savannah Bananas in exchange for 2 TikTokers to be named later.
Yeah, so I mean, we talked about the Cubs. Obviously, the Reed Detmers deal falling apart. We thought maybe the Braxton Garrett was just that in there, but I mean, David, you mentioned you potentially want the Cubs to get another outfielder. Well, there you got your fourth outfielder type, and Tyrone Taylor hit left-handed pitching, and you got another guy, Clay Holmes, ground ball. I mean, we talked about Cubs defense, right? Like Clay Holmes is a great ground ball pitcher for the Cubs there, just put in front of that defense again. Now, obviously, Rojas is a big ask, but
yeah, that's a lot for Clay Holmes, for half a year of Clay Holmes, and Tyrone Taylor, who you probably could have gotten, and he could have been DFA'd at some point. Like,
is he
a
rental too?
I think so. That's a lot.
Yeah,
Taylor's also a rental.
That's a big.
Now Clay Holmes is a great fit, right? We've talked at length about Clay Holmes over on my group, but that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well,
I'm wondering if John Heyman's got the wrong name. It would be my initial reaction.
I'll say Clay Holmes is a great fit for the Cubs. I'm not a huge Clay Holmes believer, but he is a good fit for what they want to do. Keep the ball on the ground. I am curious as to what made them decide that was a good guy to give up in that trade, but unless there's another Rojas that I don't know about.
Yes.
That's what I was wondering. I was literally trying to look for another Rojas in the Cubs system.
There's not one in the top.
Not in
30.
the top 30. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. That's and that's what's really awkward.
Yeah. Well,
it's really awkward that it's, they had the Detmers thing fall through.
Yeah. I'll tell you, anytime you see a trade like that, first off, Clay Holmes has been a lot better than I thought he had been this year.
Yeah. And then he said that's Jefferson Rojas.
Yeah.
Right.
He confirmed it.
But you wonder if there's something with Jefferson Rojas that the Cubs are seeing. Anytime you see a trade that just feels crazy like this, I mean, you always wonder if there's something that the Cubs see in him they're like, I don't know if I believe in this guy long term.
Well, so, Greg noted in our Discord that Rojas was a guy the Cubs are going to capitalize on. But I am sitting here going, how did we not? I guess maybe the Angels just also didn't believe in him, but I'm sitting here going, how is this not part of the Detmers trade? And you just package more on top of Mo, Rojas, and whatever else for Detmers and Zephyr John.
Well, I'll say as long as I don't know, y'all have probably got more info about that Detmers trade that fell through, but we don't know why that fell through as far as I know, right? I mean,
we haven't gotten any.
It could have been,
we haven't gotten anything on it.
Or if it was even something that was actually happening, like that's the thing too. Like it might have just been bad sources or something, and it sounds like it probably was something happening, but.
Now I will say, Adam getting blown away. I will say, we watched Jefferson Rojas in spring training. He was not good at shortstop, man. He I think he had 4 or 5 errors in like 10 games.
Yeah,
he really
just
struggled.
Confirmed it all too. So
that's insane, man.
Yeah. Well, you just remember, and I saw earlier today, with the Braves made a trade, and I'll compare it to this. The Braves had a guy that was a top 60-ish prospect in baseball a few years ago that was kind of one of these like high plate discipline. He was playing shortstop at the time, did a lot of things well, and it was Nacho Alvarez, and they held on to him for too long, and he ended up not being very good in the big leagues. And they ended up having to get him. Brent Suter was what they got for him. So, it's one of those things where like the Cubs might
new deal.
Tampa Bay Rays are acquiring Tyler Wells from the Baltimore Orioles.
Breaking news.
It's interesting.
Tyler Wells. We did say that he would probably go another in-division AL East trade. Orioles are just going AL East only.
Yeah.
No, they are not. Absolutely not.
Yes, you are. You are safe here. I promise.
What? Oh, Dodgers fan? No. I don't like that.
That's funny. Joel Sherman, the Mets plan was to trade 8 players a day. They are down to Luis Robert.
So, yeah, got that. Yeah, we mentioned Tyler Wells though, relief pitcher. Now that he's went there, but it's again like just don't trade pitchers to the Rays. You just, especially in division.
Yeah,
it's just always going to come back to hurt you probably.
That one's probably okay.
Maybe
Tyler Wells is. I think he's a free agent at the end of the year. I could be wrong. A free agent 2028, so you do have one more year of ARB with Tyler Wells. So that could have a non-zero return as well.
There's Cerami.
Fully retracting the Detmers, which just sucks. I don't like doing Rojas for Clay Holmes and Tyrone Taylor. I feel like Tyrone Taylor's not even like a.
He's your fourth outfielder type.
Yeah, he's been
hits lefties pretty well.
Yeah,
Again, he was on the Cubs like 4 years ago. Like, why are we giving up the number 2 prospect in the team for him? Like, that's so bad. Oh boy. Yeah, I mean he's been good this year, but again, I'm not a fan.
WRC plus.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of him being involved in this. I would rather done a little bit less and gone after Clay Holmes there.
Chris Cotillo, who's a great Boston Red Sox beat reporter, says industry chatter is that the Red Sox have clearly made Marcelo Mayer available this afternoon, potentially for pitching.
That would be the Mariners, right?
Yeah, you'd think so.
That would be Emerson Hancock or Kirby for Mayer. That would make some sense too.
The only thing for me with Mayer is, I mean,
he wouldn't have to play short there.
Yeah, but he hadn't hit.
Yeah, but just buying low on the.
But I mean, you're not going to give up George Kirby for that.
I mean, it's not just a 1-for-1. I would assume. Yeah. I bet there's more in there.
Braves trade for you, Matt. It's not anything good.
White Sox are acquiring Joey Bart from the Braves.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense because Sean Murphy's supposed to come off the IL like tomorrow, so that makes a lot of sense. But we're getting Burke for him, so it doesn't matter.
You're getting Luis Castillo in his full contract.
Yeah, probably. Oh. You know what? I would say that Alex Anthopoulos awoke from his slumber to make that trade, but I bet the assistant GM actually made that trade.
All right. So we talked about Wells. Obviously, Bart's not really much to really talk about here. I mean, we're getting ready, creeping up on close to an hour until the deadline. We're still waiting on the Detmers deal. We're still waiting on, the Seattle's going to trade one of their pitching prospects or pitchers. Jesus. Then a ton of rentals. Yeah, so if the White Sox got their catcher now, that probably means that if Tyler Stevenson's going to go, it's probably going to be to the Yankees. I assume the Yankees had to do something at catcher. They haven't done anything yet. Stevenson's a rental.
Yeah, so, yeah, the Yankees are the one that I think the Yankees and Braves are going to be making the big deals here if there is one. And
Foster Griffin, we still haven't seen him go either. I bet that's a Braves target.
Mm-hmm.
See, the thing is that I don't think he's going to be, because why would the Braves add another 5-starter? They got like 10 of them. I mean, they've got like let me rephrase that. They've got like 8 5-starters and they've got a number 1 starter. And you kind of hope that one of those 5-starters, some of the guys have some upside. You kind of hope that one of them could maybe be your number 3 in a playoff series, and then you could use a lot of bullpen, but you got to have somebody to start a playoff game, and Foster Griffin is not a guy that's going to start a playoff game for you.
So we got Michael for it, goes back to the Orioles from the Rays for Tyler Wells. And then the Braves acquire right-hand pitcher Duncan Davitt from
that in the White Sox.
From the White Sox deal.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The Red Sox are trading relief pitch or right-handed pitcher Tyler Uberstein, probably for clearance and 40-man spots, I would assume.
Wait, Duncan what? Oh, Duncan Dabbitt's been in the big leagues this year. Oh my gosh. Yeah. He's got a 6 ERA in AAA as well.
Let's see. Oh no, the South Bend Cubs had a Moises bobblehead for Wednesday.
Well,
non-zero chance part of the calculus on going for Jefferson Rojas for Clay Holmes is a Clay Holmes extension.
Could be. Yeah. Oberstein's to Atlanta, apparently.
I don't know. I want a George Springer. That's my bat. I don't believe in Tyrone Taylor in the slightest. Is my maybe my biggest issue.
Damian?
I definitely like me some Clay Holmes.
I just saw one thing. I'm trying to make sure, but it says that Tyler Uberstein could be going to Atlanta from the Red Sox. I only saw one thing. So
source: the Cubs are sending Michael Cerami to the Los Angeles Angels. They get their uncontrollable reporter.
I mean, he's never gotten anything wrong. We had.
I know. I feel kind of bad for him because it's a bad day to get something wrong.
Whenever you get something like that, it was whatever source told you it was done. It didn't tell you the right name. Oh, there you go. The NYY. That's an interesting part. Yeah, whenever you get something wrong like that, it's generally not your.
Yankees
wow, there you go.
Working on a trade for Heliot Ramos for the Giants.
Huh.
Okay.
That kind of language from Ken Rosenthal means that's going to happen.
Probably. They needed an outfielder. I mean, you still don't know what the timeline is for Judge. Bellinger obviously got hurt. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. So you've been running like Jason Dominguez and like Spencer Jones out as your corner outfielders every day.
Well, you need a right-handed bat just in general there too.
Yeah. But I mean, plus Trent Grisham's been playing a lot in the thing. So yeah, that gives them the right-handed outfielder they could be looking for there. White Sox are apparently still looking for a starter. Astros have discussed Foster Griffin. So there's the potential for Foster Griffin to go somewhere.
That makes some sense. The Astros still need guys to get them to the finish line.
Yeah. Well, they want to be buyers, so. Let's see, we're just about an hour left until the deadline now.
Should we say Tyler Wells going for Fourette?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we said that.
By the way, speaking of the Astros, they've got a 2.5 game lead now, which has kind of come up out of nowhere since the last time we did an episode.
They just swept the Rangers.
Swept the Rangers
exactly.
in 4,
They've won 6 in a row, I think. They went from a team that they were completely out of it, a little bit like the Red Sox this year. They were completely out of it a couple months ago, and now they're buyers at the deadline. So, the Red Sox are probably the bigger turnaround there, but the Astros, because the Astros division's been so weak, but it's still an impressive turnaround for them to get to the point to where they're likely to make the playoffs.
I mean, as for Romney's mentioned here, getting Holmes, Gossman, Zephyr-John, that we talked about the Cubs' need for pitching, and they went out and definitely attacked it and got guys that can help them right now, and then potentially what you could find in Braxton Garrett too.
Right.
Yeah, the Cubs seem to me like they've hit their biggest needs, and that's just needing multiple guys that can come out and join that rotation. And they got guys that can start playoff games too. You talk about Kevin Gossman.
Yep.
Definitely a guy that can start a playoff game. Clay Holmes, definitely a guy that can start a playoff game. And honestly, I know that.
Get Ed back too.
What's that?
You get Cabrera back too.
Mm-hmm. I don't think he'll be starting a playoff game.
Yeah, well, and you don't know how good Cabrera is going to be, but when he comes back. But Garrett is a guy that's dealt with a lot of injuries in his career. But when he's been healthy, he's generally been good. Now I know he hadn't pitched well in his 2 innings after his return this year, his 4 innings after his return this year, two starts. But I mean, Garrett's definitely a guy that's interesting. His numbers in 2023 in a full workload were very good, and in 2024 he had really good peripherals in 7 starts before the injuries. So we'll see what he's able to bring to the table, but that's a guy that could maybe start a postseason game. It reminds me a little bit of like a Matt Boyd type, and the Cubs have had a lot of success with Matt Boyd when I didn't think they would. So I think that could end up being a sneaky good move for them.
Yeah,
and he's also under control.
He feels. I mean, I don't think Garrett is, unless the injuries continue to pile up. But you remember they also acquired David Peterson, who has thrown 4 of 5 very good starts. He's been really, really good since he's come over. That is which the trading with the Mets, man. I swear. Sometimes it's Cole Mathis for David Peterson. Sometimes it's Jefferson Rojas for Clay Holmes. I don't know what's going on, but
I think I mentioned to us in our chat the other day, like Clay Holmes to the Mets,
or
would be
even
perfect.
to the Cubs. To the Cubs.
Clay Holmes. I think we talked about that.
Clay Holmes runs like a 60% ground ball rate, and we've talked about how ground ball pitchers to the Cubs defense is it's going to work pretty well. The Cubs tend to be an elite defense here with Nico Horner, Dansby Swanson, Alex Bregman around the horn. Like it's the type of profile that works very well. And we also mentioned earlier, right, when we talked about Luis Arias, like in the playoff series last year, Dansby Swanson, I think, fielded like 5 potential Luis Arias hits and threw him out. Like, like it was unbelievable. So the fact that, the Cubs are picking up more ground ball guys with Gosman, with Holmes, with Peterson, Edward Cabrera is not that. I almost half thought you could slide Cabrera in one of these bigger trades to try and, hey, we couldn't figure him out. Maybe you can. He's still under control for a couple more years. Like that obviously hasn't worked out, especially because he's not healthy yet. But I mean, the arms are all going to come back. The Cubs are going to have the depth, I think, to make it to the postseason here. It's going to be about whether those guys are going to be enough to overcome Dodgers, Phillies, the premium arms, the 95 to 100, just the Brewers, Jacob Mizorowski. We'll see.
What kind of player are we looking for the Giants to acquire for Ramos? Probably like a back top 30, something like that.
Yeah, probably.
I haven't updated Alfonso's split here.
Let's see. Yankees top prospects, since that's the next deal on the docket. This is obviously not a top end player, but maybe a Chase Hampton struggling this year in AA.
Yeah, I mean,
but
Ramos
interesting.
Ramos is a league average hitter, roughly, maybe slightly above, but he's got a lot of control left too. So, I would think back into the top 30 type guy, like maybe a mid 15th ranked prospect in their org or something.
Well, the 15th ranked prospect in their org is a guy named Wilberson De Pena, according to Pipeline. He has a 1,000 OPS in the rookie ball and then a 866 OPS in high A as an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
Would be a pretty decent return for a guy like Elliot Ramos. That wouldn't actually be that bad at all. They also have Cade Smith. No, not that one. The other one in AA as the 14th ranked prospect. So one of those guys kind of seems to make sense in a deal like this.
Yeah. Or they could go for two guys as well. So that would make sense. I mean,
well, who knows? You got some controllable, some rental players are going for top 100 prospects, and some rental players are going for nothing.
The Yankees farm system's not very good too.
Yeah, it's very top heavy. Top 4 guys are really good. The rest of them are just okay. I'm gonna get some water real quick.
I mean, just sitting here waiting.
Yeah.
Aaron Gleeman, 1 hour until the trade deadline. For what's worth, I've heard one Twin staffer who thinks it's still likely they make at least one more deal. So that's probably your Larnach deal. But also,
who was rumored to be in for Larnach? I saw a rumor
the
earlier.
Astros.
The Astros.
Well, that was the one we had a couple days ago, and then it was the Padres.
The Padres
the other
today.
Yeah, which is what we mentioned. Like maybe Jeremiah Estrada. They did the Brian Abreu trade that got mixed, so they could potentially look for that. I also wouldn't be surprised. There's been some rumblings that they could potentially look to trade Royce Lewis. So maybe that's something they do today. Maybe that's one of their trades.
Yeah.
We haven't heard any rumors of that today, but I wouldn't be. Sometimes some deals just come out of nowhere. We don't know. We didn't hear anything about Tyler Wells going. We just kind of figured that. But
yeah.
So we'll wait and see. With that, we're under an hour now until the deadline. So things are going to start picking up here with some of these rentals and stuff you're going to see. This time, this time usually you see it kind of be a little slow to begin with, and then as we get to like that back 30 minutes is kind of when you start seeing things start going. And obviously, things come after the deadline too.
Let's see.
The Braves are trading Eli White to the Red Sox for Tyler Uberstein.
Interesting.
Oh. So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense because Eli White was he was kind of replaced by Lane Thomas on Saturday. Right. So, the Braves had a little bit of a roster crunch, and with their with their outfielders there, and they didn't know who they didn't have a lot of good options of guys to send down. Right. So it makes a lot of sense for them to trade Eli White. So that makes sense. And we'll see if what'd you say the return was for that? I didn't see.
Tyler Uberstein.
Uberstein.
Okay.
It's just another of the Braves just get a pitcher into your organization and see what we could do with them.
I am curious, Matt. We talked about Tyler Mahle and then Lane Thomas and Bailey Falter. What do you think about Tyler Mahle to the Braves, and then maybe also Brent Suter, but mostly Mahle?
Well, I mean, I think my opinion on the Braves deadline so far is that I think they've made 3 moves that I like, but if those are the only 3 moves they make, they need to fire the general manager. I mean, it's beyond time for them to make a move at the deadline, and that there has never been a more glaring need for a Braves team that is in contention over the last several years than this year. They need a starting pitcher, and if they don't accomplish a good starting pitcher, then it's going to be a bloodbath. I will say I do like Tyler Mahle. I think it's good to get a guy that he's going to be kind of your 5 starter, and he's gets okay swing and miss. He doesn't do anything particularly well, but he doesn't do anything particularly poorly either. And I think that there's been some talk about maybe his pitch mix. They can find a couple things that give him a little bit more upside than he's shown. But, this is a guy that you're expecting is to be a more consistent 5 starter than some of the guys you've had back there. Like,
there it is.
In case you're finalizing Elliot Ramos.
Oh, gotcha.
For Passam.
Oh, well, that's all it is. I thought Passam was going to give us the deets. He did not. All right, go ahead.
No deets.
Continue on Mahle, Matt.
Oh, yeah, so Mahle, I think he's a perfectly fine 4 or 5 starter to help get you to the finish line since you've had so many injuries and you've got so much depth concern in your starting rotation, especially of experienced guys. But I don't think he's going to be more than that, and I don't think you got a playoff starter in him. If you look at the other moves, I really like the Lane Thomas move. Mike Yastrzemski's actually been pretty good over the last a pretty extended period of time against right-handed pitchers. His numbers have really come up. He's played, he hit he hit a couple home runs this weekend. He's not a great bat by any means, but the Braves really didn't have a right-handed bat to platoon with him. And Lane Thomas, if there's one thing he does well, it's he hits lefties. And I think that this year he's had a rough year, but there are some signs that there's some things that he has adjusted this year that have been better, like his plate discipline. But if you can run him out there in a strict platoon with Yastrzemski, I think it's a better option than Eli White, who just got traded away. So I do like that move a lot. The Braves didn't have to give up anything in any of those moves, really. So, and then Suter, I think, is a perfectly fine guy for the Braves to pick up. I actually really like the move. There's been some games over the last few weeks the Braves have just kind of punted with some quad A arm that comes out in the 6th inning when you're down by 2 runs and gets blown up. And I think that Brent Suter is the type of guy that's not going to get blown up in those games.
Per Mark Feinsand, Henry LaLane is the primary prospect in the trade.
You said Henry LaLane?
Yep.
Number 5 for the Yankees on pipeline. Henry LaLane, high A at a 2.87 ERA. Bio shows 60 grade fastball. Tops out at 98, sits at 94. Wow. That's a good return. I think the Giants,
that's the primary prospect, not like it's
right. That's not the whole deal, but that being the primary, that makes sense. Yeah. I hate to say it. I think the Giants have done pretty well this weekend. Like I think they've done a mighty fine job capitalizing on the particular pieces that they've sold.
Yeah. LaLane is the 16th prospect on Fangraphs for the Yankees too.
Right.
Yeah. So there's a lot of probably some mixed opinions on him, but I don't think he's I think he's about what we were kind of thinking in a trade target. But
this one seems like a small one, but the Orioles are acquiring Christian Franklin from the Nationals. He's been in AAA for most of the season. But
that's Cubs legend Christian Franklin. I love him. Who got him?
The Orioles.
Nice.
But they're acquiring another outfielder.
Yeah, that'd be the one. Where's he going to play? The issue for Christian Franklin has quite literally been, well, the Cubs didn't have space for him. Let's send him somewhere where they've got space for him. Then it was, well, the Nationals don't have space for him because the breakout of Dalen Lyle, jumped over the top of Christian Franklin. So now the Christian Franklin's still stuck in AAA.
Yeah.
Now they're Orioles. The Orioles ain't going to have space for him. They got 800 outfielders.
So let's, as we're still waiting for all this, because we obviously talked through this one, but we've mentioned today, we obviously expect a Reed Detmers deal. So now as we're about 45 minutes to the deadline, let's kind of play a game of where we think is the best Reed Detmers landing spot, given everything that's transpired today.
I would say the Diamondbacks probably don't have enough.
Yeah.
But would you center a Jordan Lawler and additional prospect around for Detmers? I mean, that seems like maybe, I don't think it's steep, but like, I have to look at the Diamondbacks farm system. It's maybe like, I don't know, maybe like Cunningham and
the Brewers are
and Lawler.
Nutella from the Rockies.
That one was always, he's going to be such a nuisance, man. God dang
it.
I'll say
the return on that. So
I'll say the D-backs figure out enough of a trade to acquire. They got like Ryan Waldschmidt could be interesting. Demetrio Crisantes is their top prospect and he's in AAA. There's certainly enough ammo. It would just the Angels would have to really love one of those infielders.
Yeah.
I don't know if they do.
Well, one thing you got to remember too with the D-backs is that's a team that's kind of on that borderline of wild card spot. Like they're not going to win their division, but they're kind of like they might make the wild card, they might miss it. They're going to be really close. And is it worth? Because I mean, they don't have a real deep farm system at this point. Is it worth torpedoing what's left of it for Reed Detmers? Right. And I'm wondering if maybe there's more available in the off season that but. I wouldn't overpay for him if I was that team to just try to make a run at the wild card. I would maybe wait till the off season, unless the Angels gave you a really, like you mentioned, really liked one of them.
Yeah. And obviously the Rays went with Peralta already. I don't think they're probably going to go for another.
It could.
But yeah, they have the ammo to deal for Reed Detmers. Brewers definitely have ammo to deal for Reed Detmers. Obviously, if they're going for Sensatella, seems like they're probably closer to done since they did just trade for Dustin May.
Yeah.
And they'll have Harrison coming back at the end of the year, probably.
With the Twins, maybe? We've heard they've been trying to make a bunch of stuff, but
like surely not, right? Surely not. That seems like it wouldn't work. I would say the White Sox could do it. They have the pieces. They have the young players. The White Sox could do it. They'd have to get comfortable with dealing like Bonnemer or one of the young starters, or Carlson, centered around something like that. Obviously, I'm guessing something. Obviously, we had the Cubs report earlier. That made sense. I don't know that it does anymore.
Yeah.
That said, like, you can't have too many good pitchers at this point. Like, it's just you can't have too many good pitchers. So, but again, that likely would have taken Owen Ayers, and I've mentioned I think, especially the way this today has gone down, I think the Cubs might really view Owen Ayers as next year's starting catcher.
Now, just because you could never count him out. What about the Padres?
That would have to center around Solace, and the Angels would have to like cash.
Giants
Mayfield,
are close to acquiring Marcelo Mayer for reliever Eric Miller.
What? Mayer's been bad, but I don't think he's been that bad.
He's been bad.
So, but you have
selling low on him.
I mean, I guess he's going to play second for you right now because you have Adames and Chapman.
Yeah.
I hate that as went there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting. I mean, Mayer in 70 games this year has and I know he's been injured for a little while. He had a 63 WRC plus, and he had kind of tailed off at the end of his minor league career too. So,
Eric Miller's just like a lefty reliever.
He's intriguing. I think he's got the funky arms. Actually, that might be Ryan Walker that has the funky arm slot. He throws 99 to Eric Miller. He's pretty good.
He's been really good. He's got a 2.76 ERA.
Yeah. That's a valuable reliever. I do think
a lot of guys.
It's interesting. There's a lot of parallels between that deal and the Zephyr to the Cubs deal, where you got a good reliever under control for a guy who struggled at the major league level. Then maybe that's real interesting. But yeah, I would, looking at the two, I think I would rather have the Zephyr for Ballesteros deal versus this one. Seems like a price to pay. Mayer seems like he could at the very least be like a good backup infielder, a guy that can play all over. But maybe he's just not as good. Obviously, the Red Sox extended Christian Campbell, who has been just horrible since getting the extension. So
shocking.
Yeah, I mean, he had a 200 WRC plus in AA and AAA in that 1 year. Like, there's no way I could have believed he was going to be this bad.
Yeah.
Now, I'm thinking about Heliot Ramos quickly as it popped up. I think he's going to be a pretty good fit for the Yankee Stadium. He is one of the only players, I think he's the only player to ever homer opposite field into the water in San Francisco. Being able to move to a much smaller outfield could really pay dividends for him going, what's he through next year, I think.
Ramos?
Yeah, Heliot Ramos.
I think like 2030.
Fangraph says 2030. I guess he's only played 2 full seasons before this. This is his 3rd full season.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of good power. I think that he kind of explodes in Yankee Stadium, if I had to guess. It seems like a really good fit where he can get to opposite field power into the short porch, but just the smaller field in general is going to result in more offensive production. Because he hits the ball a lot. He swings a lot, but he hits the ball a lot. He's not striking out a ton.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you one thing that I know y'all probably talked about it earlier, but I'm shocked the Phillies are moving Bryce Harper to the outfield.
Yeah. We briefly touched on that. Maybe we should bring that up.
I mean, that is he hadn't played the outfield in a few years. He was really bad out there the last couple years he played it. And that move to first base did him really well, not only in the fact that he ended up playing a good first base, but he also
kept his leg fresh.
It kept him fresh, so he would hit better. It's reduced the speed of his decline, and I just think that it's crazy that they're going to put him back out in the outfield again. But
it's only going to be a short-term thing for this year. It's a Band-Aid fix, but like we mentioned, like the outfield options weren't great, and they probably just saw that Arias was the best option they could probably get or something, and they could make it work for now.
Well, then again, you also got to remember too that they're moving everyone on the infield around except Trey Turner. And by the way, Trey Turner should be the guy playing outfield.
Right. That was what I was gonna follow up with.
Yeah. Like, I mean, you're gonna move Bryson Stott to third base, and Bryson Stott's a really good defender at second. So why are you you don't want to upset that, move him to third. Bohm is a terrible defender everywhere, and you're putting him at first. And I know that Luis Arias has had a great year defensively this year after working with Ron Washington. I'm sure the Giants have done some positioning stuff with him that's helped, but that doesn't mean he's going to continue to be good with the Phillies. And have the Phillies not learned their lesson about bad defense?
Right.
Yeah. Like it seemed like a couple years ago they had kind of learned their lesson about it a little bit. They got better defensively. They had, they found the value in guys like Johan Rojas playing out in center field for a couple of years, and they had Marsh playing it, in left field, and they seemed to be better, and then they decided to just completely torpedo their defense. And Arias is a good bat, but it's not like his bat is the kind that you're just torpedo your defense to get him in the lineup.
Right. I wonder if maybe the bright move isn't to just maybe not cut Alec Bohm. Maybe you do just cut Alec Bohm. He's a 77 WRC plus, man. Like, honestly, maybe it's just, hey, shuffle Stott over to third, cut Bohm, or bench Bohm. Yeah. Don't run Bryce to the outfield. I don't know. I still thought Springer makes actually a lot of sense for the Phillies too, right? Yeah. Like, in this case, maybe send him back to the Blue Jays in the Springer deal. And then we talked about all this. Oh yeah, we could totally just flip the team fielding around. Oh, actually, just kidding. We're just going to acquire an outfielder for Bohm and a rental outfielder for Bohm and a prospect and just move on. Like that would make a lot more sense.
Mark Manfredi and Juan Martinez, is the return for Antonio Senzatella.
Freedy Martinez, quick look.
And then for Ramos, Caden Kent is another piece in there for the Yankees to the Giants, and he's the 13th ranked prospect on Pipeline. So they got 5 and 13 for Ramos.
Neither of those guys are top 30, unless Pipeline updated it that quickly. But I think neither of those are top 30 initially from the Brewers for Senzatella. So,
which he's a rental.
Hey,
right.
Hey, remember when I said that the Yankees were going to give their 15th best prospect for?
Was it the Fangraphs 15th?
Yeah.
Nice. Wait, which one was it?
Caden Kent.
Caden Kent was 13th. I literally said 14 and 15.
That's the son of. He's the son of Jeff Kent.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Wait, the Giants acquired Jeff Kent's son?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
That owns. That's awesome.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
That is awesome. And there it is. Pasan has confirmed Eric Miller for Marcelo Mayer.
Yeah. At a certain point, though, with Marcelo Mayer, you kind of think it.
I have to hate him now.
Well, I was gonna say at a certain point, he's been around a while now. Like I don't want to say the word, but
he's only had 2 years. He's 23.
Yeah, it's just,
and he had a 113 WRC plus in 2025 in AAA, and that's off of a 140 WRC plus in 2024 in Double A. We're not that far from him being a very productive player who was a top 10 prospect in baseball.
Yeah. I mean, it's
So,
just the injuries have
it's-
piled up.
right.
I mean, it was only 43 games in 25. It's only 77 games in 24. I mean, it.
Well, it was 43 games before he got called up. It was 80 something games total.
Yeah. I mean, the
But,
underlying metrics on his Savant page are really bad.
So
yeah, but
I mean, and the thing
We'll see.
that you worry about with a,
Change-
I was gonna say the thing you worry about with a young guy like Marcelo Mayer too, with his Savant pages, like the thing that's not supposed to really go away is the hard hit rate and the the exit velocities, that kind of thing, and his haven't been good. I mean, he's still got bat speed, but you kind of expect like a young guy to come up and chase a lot, but still hit the ball really hard. And that's the guys you kind of think, okay, you might be able to fix this guy. Mayer hadn't been that. And he's not a very good defender either. I mean, it's just, I don't know.
well, when he says something, especially about the Red Sox, you kind of pay a little bit of attention. But Jared Carabas is saying that his gut tells him that even after all the moves today, that the Red Sox still have a buzzer beater deal for a shortstop. So he usually doesn't say anything too much like that unless something's in the works.
right.
Like when the Adley thing is, he's like, the streets are talking. And then like it was a little bit later, it was like Adley Rutschman to the Red Sox.
Yeah.
So not saying that it's going to happen, but
it could be Zach Neto, but it also,
it could be.
it might be. That might be a bit much. I'm trying to think of what other shortstops are theoretically available for the Red Sox.
I know there was some talk about Otto Lopez, but I feel like that would be kind of the same price.
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe Xavier Edwards, but he's not really a shortstop.
He's second. Yeah.
They slid him over to accommodate Otto. Like,
I mean, don't think you go get someone like a. I guess you would have just did it. I was gonna say you wouldn't have just did Adames, but
right. Adames
you
is
did that deal.
theoretically getting offered, but yeah, you can't be taking on Adames money.
Well, I was saying that you just did the swap for Mayer. You might as well have just made that a part of the thing, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously, there's people we just don't know are available or something too.
Yeah, and so it got floated. It's not a rumor or anything, but I did get floated, and it made sense. The whole thing is the Neto thing in the Red Sox is hung up on dealing Arias, right? Who is a really good prospect playing in Double A for the Red Sox. The shortstop that I deal Arias for that's on a selling team is Ellie. Do the Reds pull the trigger? Probably not, right? Ellie's obviously not going to get dealt, but it's like that would be the way.
It would have had to have been Arias, like almost plus the Orioles package that you traded for Adley. Like that would have had to be your package there. I mean, now could you have thrown Arias in and got Gunnar Henderson? Maybe they're selling, but
well, shoot. I mean, yeah, the Orioles are dropping. I don't know. I'm just trying to find something. Obviously, Ellie is so good. Still, like, wouldn't be Mason Wynn. Like Sanoha from the Marlins. That's not really help you.
We've got a.
Could you go get like JP Crawford? They've kind of went to.
That is a rental. He is a free agent at the end of the year. That would make some sense. I don't know how much that helps the Red Sox though.
Do y'all? We've got 30 minutes left. Plus, usually there's stuff that comes out right after the deadline is official. Do y'all think that we might see a surprise of some kind? I know you mentioned the Reds, but there's been a lot of rumors about Hunter Green. There's been, there's a lot of these guys out there that there's been some rumors about. CJ Abrams is another one. Hadn't really been talked about much today. Do y'all think there's a chance we get a big surprise before the deadline, or do you think it's probably not going to happen?
I don't think so. I don't think Hunter Green's going anywhere. I don't think Hunter Goodman's getting traded. I think you're looking at like Detmers is probably your biggest name, potentially Neto. Like I think those are the guys you're looking at to
to get traded here.
Yeah, I think there could be a surprise for sure, but it would have to be someone we didn't hear about. We didn't hear about anything on Elliot Ramos until he got dropped, like right now. So
It had been rumored a little bit over the past week or two.
Yeah. Well, it's Elio Ramos. I mean, he's one of those guys that's just not. I mean, that's not really a. I mean, it's a surprise, sure. Like, I don't think we had heard a lot about him, but I'm talking,
Surprise
somebody
blockbuster.
significant. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, a blockbuster like a Hunter Green or an Ellie or
we would have to
Abrams or
we would have to get a lot of minds changed. Very
like what if the
very
Giants
quickly.
decide, you know what, we do want to trade Logan Webb. Like, that's another one that's was
Yeah.
rumored at one time, but if they get something they want, sometimes teams do things for posturing too. So
Right.
I mean, there are a ton of just rentals left though too that we just have to see go. Like,
Yep.
I just don't know if there's that blockbuster move out there. Really,
Right. A lot of the ammo in the market got moved here just a couple of minutes ago. The Red Sox pushing Ianson, Cubs moving Rojas. Heck, the Yankees moving, the guys they just moved to get Ramos. I mean, a lot of the juice has been pulled. I think the D-backs still trade for a starter. It depends. Like a lot of this stuff hinges on like the Rangers could enter the market all of a sudden, just be like, actually, we're selling in the last half hour, and change their mind again and drop Mackenzie Gore onto the market, and all of a sudden things get interesting.
Well, yeah, I don't even think they'd be opposed to selling Gore, even if they weren't trying to like sell in general.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I guess if you want to say the blockbusters, if you get. I mean, we're a lot higher than the consensus typically on George Kirby, but if you get that deal or something, but
George Kirby would be a big one.
We just don't.
Right.
We just don't know. I mean, there's so much left.
The fits felt best for Kirby when it was like Cubs, Brewers, Rays trying to acquire a starter. Right. All three of them have acquired starters. Cubs have two. Like.
The Nationals are trading Foster Griffin to the Guardians.
There we go. Okay, that was the other big rental starter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you got Mize, you got Rogers, you got Bieber. Like, they're still
Singer.
Singer's not going anywhere. They said they're going to keep him.
Yeah, weirdly, but he's also not that good. Ken Rosenthal said Griffin Foster. That's hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
So there's that. I mean, the Guardians. This is a typical Guardians type move right here.
I think that the White Sox still have something in them here.
White Sox want to get some sort of a starter too. I wouldn't be surprised if they go get a Bieber or Rogers, something like that.
Rogers is still there. Yeah.
I feel like the good fit for the White Sox is to go get a starter that's got upside, that maybe has been injured or has not had a great year or something, and see if they can fix him and not give up a lot for him.
Have you heard? Let me introduce you to Luis Castillo.
Well,
exactly. That is exactly what Luis Castillo
and I
is.
think getting another one of those guys might be their best move, because right now, I mean, if I'm the White Sox, they're in first place right now in their division, and they're having a great year. And I definitely think you want to add, because you want to make the playoffs, because you're in position to make the playoffs. But your real future, as we're going to be a great, long term, we're going to be a championship contender, is not this year. I mean, the division they're in is extremely weak. So I think you make some moves, but I don't think you go all in on a big time like a Detmers or something this year for them.
Yeah.
Maybe in the off season, you kind of go all in on something, but
yeah. They're in a good spot.
If there is a season next year, which we haven't talked about, but that's a conversation for a different day.
Oh yeah,
we'll talk enough about that. I promise.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we still got like Stevenson needs to go.
Yeah.
You got, Fairbanks, Kittredge. Like, there's a bunch of like rental relievers. Just. We're getting down like 25 minutes left.
Yep.
A lot of the urgency got pushed up midday here. So I think the funny part of the day is that Jose Soriano getting shuffled to a team that was probably on most people's selling radar. Maybe kickstarted this market in a with a bit of urgency, where we saw a lot of those moves hit midday. Teams that needed a player, the Padres, for example, jumping up on Robbie Ray, and it's taken a little bit of the energy out as we approach the deadline. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely a possibility that something more interesting down the stretch here breaks.
I will be right back.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to think that like there's got to be several more moves because the Mariners going to have to do something, right? Like, I mean, they got to do something. Dipoto never sits on his hands; he always does something.
Yeah. Mariners are almost certainly waiting for the very end of the clock here to.
The Braves have got to do something in their rotation still. I mean, they've got to. I mean, the Braves should fire Alex Anthopoulos if he doesn't make another move at this deadline and rolls into the rest of the season with what they've got. And the Mariners should fire Dipoto if he does that.
Twins acquire Jeff Hoffman.
That's interesting.
Oh, there we go. We did talk about Hoffman before you got on when we were speculating on relievers. Hoffman, the guy who blew the World Series for the Blue Jays last year. I kind of felt like that would always result in a trade a little bit here. He has had a good year since Hoffman to the Twins.
Hilarious because Ben Nicholson Smith said here in Houston, Jeff Hoffman says he's far and away still a Blue Jay. Let's keep it that way. And that was like 10 minutes ago.
Fantastic. Bye. I mean, looking at the Braves prospect system, it falls off pretty heavily after the first 4, right? So you have to be comfortable dealing out of that group probably to get something of impact. I will say, I think there's a fit for former Georgia Bulldog Emerson Hancock as a potential Brave.
Yeah,
if that should happen,
which would be fine. The thing about the Braves list is that I would not trade Hartman or South Scene if I could get away with it. But they've got other guys. I mean, I would not be shy at all about including J.R. Ritchie in a trade with. And J.R. Ritchie's in the big leagues. He was a top prospect. He's a top 50 guy on a lot of sites. I wouldn't be shy at all about trading him in a move that gets you a good starting pitcher. Because at the end of the day, there's different teams that are contending in different windows right now. Yeah. The Braves are in the middle to there's starting to be some urgency on the Braves to win now because for a long time it was like, oh my God, they have this core. It's like the Astros were in 17. It's like, oh my God, they've got this core and they're locked up for 10 years and they can be patient and pick their time and they can all this stuff. And then but now you're getting to the point to where Albies is a free agent and you're getting to the point to where Acuna has only got a couple years left on his deal. You're getting to the point where Austin Riley has regressed like crazy. Chris Sale's 37 years old, but the rest of your pitching's been really injured. You've got a couple young guys. You got Baldwin, you got Harris, but it's if you don't make a move here soon that and really push your chips in these next couple of years, then you're going to get to a situation where the team's just not good enough to push your chips in. You're fumbling an opportunity. I think is probably the best thing to say about it. And I think that's something that's definitely happening with the Braves if they don't make a move, which we've still got 20 minutes left before the deadline, and there's a lot that can happen, but I think it's a real problem. And we've how many times have we seen a team just kind of fumble their contention window and not do enough, and then that window ends quicker than people think it will?
Yeah. Well, here's a deal for you. I think I'm guessing my thought process is I initially I'm like, yeah, it makes sense to go for Hancock, a Georgia Bulldog. What if the Braves or maybe the team for Detmers and they drop Ritchie, like Matt said, and then they push in one of McKenzie or Caminiti as another starter, and then a position player prospect as well, but 2 really good pitching prospects for Detmers. I don't know if that's quite as strong as
Yeah.
some of those other packages. You might need to part with a Hartman or a Southacene, but you could see the Braves being okay with that if you got a Detmers in particular.
Yeah,
Man, you probably only have to give up one.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I think they were interested in Hartman.
Yeah,
They
Hartman
probably
looks
are.
Hartman looks real interesting.
Everyone's interested in Hartman. I think one thing to remember with the Braves too is that with the Profar thing, the Braves have a lot of money that is not on the books right now for the rest of this year. They opened up a lot of money, so they've got they can absorb some money from somebody where they can maybe lessen that prospect cost if they can find a match. That's why a lot of people in Brave circles were talking about Jacob deGrom. It's because you can absorb that money this year, reduce the prospect cost if he is willing to waive his no trade, which he ended up not doing. So
Right.
I think that there's a move to be made where you take on some money and you
maybe
reduce
Bieber?
that prospect cost. Bieber might be. I mean, he's an option for sure. But
rental,
right?
Which rental is fine. I mean,
yeah.
He's been really bad this year.
That's the thing. Like, you got to get somebody who's going to move the needle. I mean,
could we see Kyle Freeland too? Like,
I mean,
man,
getting out of Colorado.
That would be a really tough sell.
Right.
So, like,
dang.
I don't know.
Dason Hill, John Klein, and Demery Pena is the return for the Blue Jays. You got Dason Hill for Jeff Hoffman?
Dason Hill, A-ball, 60 grade fastball. He had a pretty bad ERA thus far this season, walking a lot of guys, but yeah, interesting prospect. Definitely got the touches 99, averages 95.
Yeah, seems like
Derek,
go ahead.
Derek Gold just said Ollie Marmol will walk out to bring Lars Nootbaar back from BP, and he's getting hugs. So
there's an outfielder. Who did we say needs an outfielder?
Padres.
I bet that's a Padres move.
The Astros have been in on a couple different outfielders too. I know they got Varsho, but I wonder if they might want another one. But
okay, Nootbaar trade incoming probably.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if Burleson goes here too before the end of the day. Obviously, still a little bit of movement there. Springer still probably goes.
I'm gonna run to the restroom here before the last minutes. I'll be right back.
Man, one of those where where we're at. I don't see really our two teams, the Cubs and the Dodgers. It feels like they're done.
Yeah, the Dodgers. I mean, obviously, Skubal and Bubic were big things. The thing I was looking for them is potentially trading away like Eric Lauer and Alex Call. They were looking, or some prospect for prospect trades. They were doing some 40-man stuff.
Right.
Potentially, Ryan Ward or Landon Knack, some people like that. So I didn't have high expectations they were going to do a ton, but
I mean, they did the most.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying
but also
after,
after that, it's hard to add anything else to it. So
I think Nootbaar's such a preller.
Right. No, that's definitely a good bet for the location. Sitting here looking at why haven't the Reds done anything?
Yeah, where's Stevenson gonna go?
The
A's, I mean, they're
A's,
holding on to Singer. Are they just gonna hold on to Stevenson too? Like,
I don't know. This seems like a bad idea.
Yeah.
No movement for the A's. They don't have a ton to move, but no movement. A little weird.
The return for Foster Griffin is Will Dion, Josh Hartle, Ken Glees Verges, and outfielder Nick Mitchell. So
I would need to see the names. Did they note?
They did not note this stuff.
It doesn't seem like those guys are top 30 on Pipeline.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of tracks some flyers from the Guardians to the Nationals.
For a rental thing for sure.
For a guy who Foster Griffin's been pretty solid, but he has not he doesn't have the game-changing stuff.
Yeah, no.
He's going to slot in as the third pitcher on the Guardians rotation behind Messick and Williams.
Yeah, we still haven't seen anything about Mickey Moniak or Jake McCarthy going.
Yeah. I
JJ
guess
Bleday.
Newbar has to get out of the way for those guys to maybe be intriguing.
Well, what did we say in our trade deadline preview last week about the Rockies, Damien?
Well, yeah, but they've moved Brenton Doyle. They moved Antonio Senzatella. Like, I don't think anyone ever thought that Goodman was going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Also, we have Luis Robert Jr. too that they still
Robert. Yeah, I don't know if Luis Robert has any suitors. Would be
I don't either.
the issue there.
Yeah.
So there's Heyman, St. Padres trying to land Newbar, Burleson, or Larnach to fill the lefty need. I mean, if you see Newbar getting hugs and that getting pulled back from BP, I would assume that he's probably going somewhere.
You know, I don't really understand the Larnach trade either. If the Twins move him, they just bought a reliever. I mean,
yeah.
At a certain point, like, why are you trading Larnach if you're gonna go buy in the bullpen?
Yeah, that may be more of a
Well, it's one more year of control, and you have obviously you have Keishel's now moved to the outfield. You're going to have Buxton. You got Walker Jenkins and Manuel Rodriguez need places to play at some point. You still have Matt Wallner down in the minors. So, like, I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying I could understand their part of, like, hey, we have guys who could potentially fill out there if we can get a good reliever.
Yeah.
If you're getting into Jeremiah Estrada or something like that, that's going to be a decent piece for you.
Well, Alan Rodin's playing right field. He's bad. So there's one of your outfielders that you can bring in. But I mean, Trevor Larnach's been your second best hitter behind Jeffers this year. So it's just one of those things, other than Buxton, of course. But, like, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't move him, but, you know, if you're going to move him, why are you buying relievers? That's kind of my question. But,
I mean, they traded a whole bullpen last year, so they need to buy something.
Imagine if they had all these guys, am I right?
Yeah, imagine.
The only guy I think that's been helping the Twins is Taj Bradley, that they got last year in that sale.
Hey, Griffin Jackson's turned into a decent starter now too for the Rays.
Well, yeah, I'm saying, like,
I know. I'm just saying, like,
the in there's fire sale. The only piece that's helping the Twins right now is Taj Bradley. Let's look at Cody Clemens for Duran. Did they? Was that
I don't know if he was in that deal or not.
Is he in that deal?
Maybe.
I'm curious. He might have been.
We're 12 minutes to the deadline now, so.
No, there was Mick Abel and Eduardo Tate.
I knew it was Tate, and then I just didn't know if Clemens was the third piece or not.
He wasn't sure, but no.
Have y'all seen the guy that's watching Alex Anthopoulos on the balcony?
Yes.
He's been stalking him all day.
You've showed us that.
Yeah, you sent it to us.
Oh, I did. I don't really remember who all I sent it to. He's still. It's been all day. He's still watching him as of 9 minutes ago.
Like, what are we doing, Alex? There we go. It's D-backs for Newt Bar. There we go.
Wow. That's interesting.
I knew they needed a lefty. That makes some sense.
They didn't need an outfielder, though.
Yeah. They made more sense for Burleson than Newt Bar, but I guess whatever. That kind of puts the Padres onto Burleson, probably.
I guess.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to have
the D-backs. I was going to say that Max Kepler has been really bad.
No, but you have Gurriel.
Their DH system has been really bad, too.
You have Gurriel. Waller's about to come back. You have
Corbin Carroll.
You have Waldschmidt. Like,
they need a pitcher too. Like, obviously they need the hitter, but they need a pitcher.
They really need a pitcher. Hopefully they get. I don't think Soroka's back yet, is he? Hopefully they get Soroka back, but they need more than that.
Famous again. I've been there before.
Oh, and then they should be getting. Yeah, I know. They should be getting Corbin Burns back too soon.
You can't.
You can't count on it, but you know.
Oddly enough, I don't know. This is going to be quite the end here.
Yeah, I mean, there's still so much to happen. Like, are we gonna have all this stuff of Detmers and Neto to not get
anything?
Well,
either of them?
And remember, those guys are under control for a long time. So,
I understand that.
Detmers is 2.5 years.
But
yeah, but I mean, it's not like he's
so
a
much
rental
about them.
or 1.5 years. Like you can definitely get a lot for him at the end of the season if you moved him in the off season.
I think it's 2.5 years for both. But yeah, I mean, you can. It's just that the urgency at the deadline generally drives prices up. So
yeah.
Edison Pereira was DFA'd to make room for Joey Bart. Actually been really good this year.
we are waiting.
Yeah.
All the
I know it's kind of just at the point where like we're expecting stuff to start kind of
flowing and nothing is flowing. The dam is waiting to break.
When is Nashville getting their team? I might have to change allegiances if Alex Anthopoulos doesn't do anything in the next 10 minutes.
Anthony DeComo says the Mets aren't expecting any more trades.
I mean it's no surprise they couldn't move Robert.
Right. He was almost always the one guy that wouldn't get moved. I even thought they wouldn't move Taylor really, but obviously getting him thrown into the Cubs deal works.
Mm-hmm.
He could have moved. They probably could have moved Minaya too, but
I
don't know.
I don't know if they could have moved.
Yeah, he's got next year on his contract. He's owed a lot of money, but
there was some talk about
they could fix him.
There was some talk about some Senga interest, but
yeah, I mean they would have had to.
Dude, Senga's so cooked.
Yeah, I mean they would have had to buy down his contract, and
right.
I don't know. He's been really bad. Oh.
Nothing so far.
Yep.
We wait and chill and wait and wait.
Yeah. And just for, I guess we've said it a few times, but after the 5 o'clock deadline hits, there usually is some news that trickles out for up to 20 to 30 minutes. So I know that we've seen some big time trades happen after the deadline.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do y'all remember, was it Verlander who posted something about he wasn't getting traded, and then no, it was you, Darvish.
It was Darvish to the Dodgers.
He was posting that he wasn't traded, and I'm still here. And then 10 minutes after the deadline, he's been traded to the Dodgers.
Yep.
Yeah. Man. There's been a lot of moves, but I still feel like there should have been a ton more.
It's the league is in an interesting spot because also you've got some obvious buyers who've been very aggressive, but you've also got a lot of teams that are maybe is our 2027 guy getting full value, or is he going to get 80 games? Right, the extra year of control isn't quite as valuable as potentially other years, which is a large part of why we've seen a lot of those rental trades go off in the first place, or guys with that extra year past 2028 or 2027. So Yeah, very, very interesting spot to be in here.
Well, I don't know how it works with that because it's done by service time. So if they don't play in 2027, I guess guys that are signed to long-term contracts, it'd be different. But like if you're an ARB guy and you've got 2 years of ARB left, I wonder how that. I don't even know how that would work. But
Yeah, I mean that's the weird part. Like, especially with all these rentals, like what are you really, or not rentals, but like the guys with 1 year of control,
yeah,
what are you really getting, at the end?
I wouldn't have put money on Luis Arias having more WAR this year than Corbin Carroll, but
I didn't know the Angels were trying to trade Jorge Soler. That's probably who the Braves are going to end up getting. So
that means the Braves are going to win the World Series. Dude, what are you talking about?
Blue Jays also got international bonus pool space from the Twins, while the Twins got some cash to cover Hoffman's 27 salary.
ooh, that would be awkward if the Braves got Jorge Soler after what happened earlier this year.
Right.
There's
I
one.
forgot about that.
Reds made a move finally.
The Reds.
Guardians are acquiring Nate Lowe from the Reds.
It's interesting.
At
That is a
long
trade.
last.
That is a trade that has happened.
Yeah, Guardians adding Adele and Nate Lowe does help their offense, but I don't think it does enough given that the White Sox offense is not their problem. That's a team that's going to score some runs.
Yeah.
It's a very much, they're chasing up. Kyle Manzardo had a 95 WRC plus at first base, so Nate Lowe is going to come in and probably see. Is Manzardo a righty? No, he's a lefty,
No, he's
so I mean
lefty.
he probably just takes over. They probably bumps Manzardo to DH.
Probably.
And then
Yeah,
short platoon DH, which is fine. Yeah, the rest of the Guardians are. I mean, you look at that team. Obviously, Jose Ramirez even had a down year before he got hurt. He's at a 101 WRC plus. Best hitter on the Guardians is Chase DeLauder.
Yeah.
At 124 WRC plus. Marlins buying. What is going on?
Marlins are acquiring Victor Vodnik from the Rockies for Connor Norby and Aiden May.
Yeah, Connor Norby had gotten sent down. He had really, really struggled as a major leaguer. Got moved to the Marlins in the Trevor Rogers trade.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple new deals coming in. I mean, overall, that is fine. Vodnik is one of those guys who throws 100, but no idea where it's going. Not like Halverson and Bird and some of those other guys that they've left the Rockies now. Halverson has, Bird has. We haven't. I think Vodnik may just be another one of those guys that just isn't all that good, but he throws 100, so he's kind of interesting, and he's on the Rockies, so that makes it interesting.
Yeah, we'll see if the Marlins can maybe find something there to shift with it. But I mean, Norby is kind of interesting there because the Rockies infield, they kind of started figuring it out. I mean, Karros has played a good third base for them. I mean, I know Tovar's not been great at short, but you're going to probably continue to run him out. And then you have Willie Castro at second. So, I mean, are they potentially flipping Willie Castro?
I guess they could.
And you still have Edward Julian as well.
That's certainly, I mean, Willie Castro is definitely a good bench option. He obviously didn't work out for the Cubs last year, but that's certainly a deal that I didn't hate in the moment and probably wouldn't hate this to see going forward here if somebody makes that move, puts him on their bench down the stretch.
So we are basically here at the deadline.
Yep.
It is
1 minute.
1 minute left.
And then we'll start getting such and such a team is done. We obviously already know the Mets are done.
Mm-hmm.
Fire sale completes.
Yeah. What they put 13 players or something like that, 8, something like that. 8 trades, 13 incoming players, what it was. But we are at the deadline now. So now we wait to see if anything had got across the finish line.
Yep, deadline is there. So let's see if any
Kirby
of these
Yates
deals
to the
trickle
Pirates.
through. There's one. Yeah, Kirby Yates was one that we didn't mention, but the Angels were almost always going to move him. He's had a solid year. Pirates loaded up on bullpen, which has been their weakness. All of a sudden, this team adds Luke Weaver, Kirby Yates, and Camilo Doval. That's a lot of really solid bullpen talent infused.
So it doesn't seem like Detmers or Neto went.
Yep.
Casey Mize to the Padres.
Wow.
Per John Heyman.
Wow. Look, you put us back to the top here. Yeah, there we go. Yankees make no other moves.
Mm-hmm.
Yankees are done. So, yeah, Mize, the issue for Mize, and obviously the Braves were one of the teams rumored to Mize.
Yeah.
The injury, right? The groin injury. He lost like 3 miles an hour on his fastball the last time out. There's some questions whether he's even healthy, but the Padres need help so bad in the rotation. I'm sure they're willing to take on that risk, and that's a very Preller move, right? To ignore the injury risk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So did they trade Soler?
That is, yeah. If they said no Neto, no Detmers, Soler, Luke
Pirates
Bacher,
acquiring Luke Bacher. The Rays are acquiring Jack Sawinski from the Dodgers for catcher Hunter Fiducia. So Hunter Fiducia back in the.
I was going to say, isn't that a return trade? Tyrone Taylor back to the Cubs, Hunter Fiducia back to the Dodgers. Just can't quit.
For Jack Sawinski, which is hilarious. He'd been
Oh, that's Pirates.
In the minor league.
Was that Pirates that got Sawinski? No, who was Fiducia?
Sawinski was in the Pirates. He got over to the Dodgers, but Fiducia went over to the Rays.
Oh, the Rays. That's it. Yeah.
I forget what that deal was. Oh, Paul Gervais and like Serwinowski and stuff was when they had that 3 team with the Reds.
That's it. Yeah.
Mark Bowman
the
is
luck
just
steal, right?
Mark Bowman's got to be stopped.
Blue Jays are done. Scherzer, Springer, and all the rest stay.
Wow. No Springer move. Okay. Stuff. No, nothing yet. We'll see. Maybe the big stuff already happened.
Twins are done. Apparently.
That's the Twins went Minter, Hoffman,
and Dean Kramer.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be enough. Jorge Soler not traded by the Angels. Orioles keeping Trevor Rogers.
Okay, sure.
I was gonna say, I don't think anybody wanted Jorge Soler.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm just surprised that someone just didn't say okay, we'll give you $1 for him, bring him in the organization.
But I mean, he's owed like $6 million to the rest of the year. It's just not.
Mm-hmm.
It's not worth it.
Why did the Orioles keep Trevor Rogers?
I have no idea.
It's a rental.
Braves stayed put at the deadline. That's I would say that's Faxon Childress. I guess that's a Clemson guy, but I think we'll see.
The Braves beat guys haven't said anything yet.
Okay, so that's untrue. Potentially, we'll see. It seems like the Braves haven't.
All Mark Bowman said was breaking the trade deadline, and he spelled it wrong. So, but he did mention that there was last minute deals in the past right before the deadline ended. So I'm wondering if they were working on something. But
3 prospects to Miami for Luke Bacher, but no names.
If I go to the
Padres get Casey Mize and
that?
Gage Workman for Cash Mayfield and Jackson Wolf.
Cash Mayfield on the move to the.
Gosh.
That's a good. Okay, hey, that's a good get for the Tigers. Cash Mayfield's pretty good.
And Jackson Wolf too.
Lord.
Man, trying to get a report for Luke.
What a
Barker.
guy AJ Preller is.
Red Sox are done.
Luke Bacher has a 4.17 ERA, 4.65 FIP, but a 3.53 xERA. Got 24% strikeout rate, 8% walk rate. He's been throws 95, 31 years old. Got 3 years of control. So again, Pirates really hammering home that they need some bullpen help. The Padres think H. Workman's going to be the left. I guess they got Newbar.
No, they did.
Surely the Cardinals. Oh, Arizona got it. Yeah, surely the Padres got somebody got Burleson. Burleson had to go.
I don't think so.
Right? Nothing. Dodgers to reacquire Hunter Fiducia is hilarious.
Yeah. I think that was all in like what was that trade last? It was a 3-teamer between I think it was the Reds, was that the Gavin Lux trade?
Was it the Lux trade? That's what I thought, because maybe not.
Or it might have been the Lux trade, but no. I don't know. Because the Lux one was Sirota. I forgot what that was last year. Trying to see what else.
Is anticlimactic here.
Yeah.
We
Because
await-
we're just kind of waiting for these to come through.
with anything else to trickle in. I'm sure there's a few more in the in the cache.
Myers was a big one to go at the deadline. Yes, I'm guessing the Padres think that Workman is their left-handed.
I'll add Adam's comment, but yeah,
Or something.
Gage Workman is not that guy. He's not that guy. Oh man.
And Preller's a madman, so he could have always snuck something in.
Right, and there's definitely a couple of lefties still sitting out there, like Burleson. That makes some sense.
Yeah, Burleson still has control,
Right.
so I could.
So did
see him.
Newbar. Yep.
Burleson's got 2 more years. Zach Neto and Reed Detmer staying put. Crazy.
Man. Thought he was a Cub for a full 20 minutes.
I just think it's crazy that you came in with all of this stuff and you traded Jose Soriano, and that was
Yeah, they traded
And they-
Zephyr John. They traded
Ned or Ohapi. and
Adele, Suter, Ohapi.
these were the ones that could have
Right.
really resubmitted your farm system, and those 2 especially. I mean, I'm guessing that they're hoping that they get to the offseason and they could maybe get with the team like the Cubs, and if they like Ayers that much, and
Yeah, I mean, I did.
something from there.
If Ayers was not enough, I mean, I'm sure we'll get some stories.
Yeah.
After, but we have to see what scuttled that, or whether there was even something there to begin with, and it wasn't just the wrong type of report. But
Mhm.
Gosh.
that's where I was last year. awaiting a move that probably won't come here.
I just saw a post that made me die, but I'm not going to repeat it because it's real political.
So we know the Yankees didn't make anything else.
Yeah, Yankees, Red Sox done, Mets done. Angels are probably done if Soler didn't go, and then Neto and Detmers are staying.
Yeah,
Rangers didn't do anything but the Josh Smith deal. They're done.
that's crazy.
Which, yeah, if you're gonna try to tread water, you would think make some moves, shuffle the playing cards a little bit, and see what happens.
Yeah, or make like small. You know,
They
if
also-
you're gonna trade Josh Smith, like you can go get a fourth outfielder or something to, or you know, another kind of
DFA'd
swing
Chris
starter. Yeah,
So
I agree, Adam. Like I just
they did the most
What?
though.
what else? I mean,
did
they.
the single most.
I mean, how could they just stand pat? I just don't get it. Just don't understand. Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't see a lot of these like more like kind of fringy guys who were just like into the roster help,
Mhm.
you know, go somewhere. Like, why didn't Kittredge go?
Guardians are done.
Yeah, why didn't Kittredge go? Why didn't
Right. Joe Rogers for the Orioles? Yeah.
Rogers? Why didn't Fairbanks go somewhere? Why didn't
Well, Fairbanks can go somewhere because he is bad.
Stevenson? Like
But yeah, like Singer.
there's
Yeah.
Singer,
What are the
Stevenson.
Reds
there's just
doing?
yeah,
Well, the thing is with some of those guys, like you think about Rogers and the Orioles. The Orioles are not that far out of the wild card. I mean, and they probably are like, we're willing to trade guys, but if you don't, you know, if we don't get something that we really want, we're not just going to trade him for the sake of trading him because we still have some form of a chance at this. Like,
Mhm.
we got a 20% playoff chance. I think there was a lot of that going on, and that's kind of been the deal with deadlines last few years. Is like you have to overpay to get someone to move off a player. Because otherwise, they could just try to see if they get hot for a couple weeks in the second half and sneak into the playoffs. So, I mean, I don't know.
Sandy stays with the Marlins, which was expected.
Well, John Heyman calls Sandy their ace, but I'm pretty sure that Yuri's been better this year.
I mean, Sandy's been
Let's-
pretty good.
Sandy's been a lot better this season than he has in past seasons, but
The
Yeah,
Astros are
it's
done.
Meyer a little bit better.
Astros are done. They only got Dalton Varsho.
Wow.
They didn't get another starting pitcher.
It's a lot of faith in Hayden Wesneski. Coming back from Tommy John. Names for the Luke Bacher deal from the Pirates to the Marlins are Brandon Bedoya, Hyun-Sung Lee, and Brian Sanchez.
Okay.
Which I'm pretty sure are not top 30 prospects and verified. At least on Pipeline.
Pirates are sending Kyle Robinson to the Angels. Oh, for
Kirby Yates.
Kirby Yates, yeah.
Pretty good deadline for the Pirates, I think. All things considered, good to see them buying, and they pick up 3 of the like 5 best relievers that get moved.
Yeah, pretty close.
Depends on how much you like Camilo Doval, but maybe Luke Bacher is underrated and steps into that spot. But I mean, it's a team with a clear weakness that addressed it.
You didn't trade guys like Anthony Bender either if you're Miami.
Yep.
He didn't go.
But again, Miami's a team that, just like I was talking about with the Orioles, they're over 500. They've got 23% playoff odds. They're like a game and a half back of the Phillies for the second wild card. I mean, they're not going to trade guys just to trade them. If they're going to trade guys, if they really like the return they can get for them, and I think they really liked the Hicks return, and that was a place they just called up their top prospect at too. So it's not surprising to me that they didn't move some of those guys. Looks like the Phillies made a
Seth Johnson minor league trade.
last minute. And I don't think I still haven't seen anybody say anything about the Braves staying pat. But once you get past the 15-minute mark, it's pretty unusual that a trade gets announced.
Yeah,
so,
we're into. It would be surprising if anything else was announced territory that we also haven't seen confirmations from a bunch of different teams, especially our 3 teams.
Yeah. Well, we haven't seen it. We knew the Padres were trying for Larnach and Nootbaar. Obviously, Twins said they're done. Nootbaar went, but Burleson, we haven't seen anything from there. St. Louis Cardinals acquire Caleb Ferguson from the Reds. There you go.
Sure.
For international bonus pool money.
Right. So yeah, deals are definitely still coming through. I think 5:30 is probably about the time, 6:30 Eastern. Probably about the time things are going to be kind of confirmed to be done.
So the full deal is for Dusha and a right-hander Jacob Matz to the Dodgers for Swinsky and bonus pool money.
So here's
while
we're waiting. Wait, what?
I'm saying Swinsky opens up a AAA thing for DePaula and Sirota to get.
Oh, it's time to start promoting them, fellas. Okay. So now that we've got probably 95%, maybe 99% even of the deadline completed, who's your favorite set of acquisitions from across the board, kind of taking everything into account?
Do you want my real answer?
I mean, Tariq Skubal is probably the answer, but
Yeah. No, I mean, I do like what the Blue Jays did today. Like between getting Jose Soriano, you traded away Hoffman. I liked that. I like in general what they did. We mentioned the Pirates, I think, did well. I think the Cubs did well, like for helping their chances for this season. I know that the Rojas part of it was it's a lot, but I mean, you're getting guys those are real needs for the Cubs this year. It wasn't like you guys were filling out like back end of the stuff. Like you were looking for players that could help you in the playoffs and stuff this year. And I think they did a good job of getting that. I think Clay Holmes is a perfect fit for the Cubs rotation.
He should be back. He's completed his last rehab assignment, I believe, on Friday. Should be back.
Yeah.
Reds are done. It was just Ferguson and Lowe. Yeah, I think the players. I think players wise, I think the Cubs did about the best of anybody. But yeah, price wise, I think the Dodgers did the best. Right, what they gave up for what they got. I think the Dodgers cleared everybody by a mile because Skubal is just that good. I think the Pirates did a really good job here as well in that regard, addressing the needs. Brewers gave up an awful lot. If we start to shift over to talk about maybe some losers when it comes to the deadline, I think the Brewers gave them an awful lot to not get a ton and missed out on some of their premier targets. Unless we get some news late, I think the Braves have to be listed as a loser because a lot of these teams got better. The Braves maintained, prevented injury, and that's about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think the Braves got a little bit better, but they didn't get much better. And when you have a glaring weakness like you don't even attempt to solve. I mean, I just think I think that's crazy. But I'll say I want to shout out the Rays. I really liked their acquisitions. I think buying low and getting that rental of Freddie Peralta was a good move. I think he could be good for them down the stretch. And I also really like Liam Hicks. I think he's going to be a really great pickup. And it's not like they gave up some like top 100 prospect. Yeah. He's a young catcher with great bat to ball skills, which is rare. So I like both of those moves for them.
Yeah, for sure. My only thing with the Rays is, if you're talking about like a deadline winner, tough for them to be a deadline winner when they came into this week maybe hoping to land Scoople and end with Freddie Peralta and Liam Hicks, right? So,
yeah. And I'll say, I think the Orioles got a great return for Adley Rutschman.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate it's hard for me to say that they're a winner for trading Adley Rutschman, but I think they got a great return for him.
Right.
So,
and I think the Red Sox were maybe the most surprising team. I think that you could look back at this deadline in a couple of years and say the Red Sox are the biggest losers at the deadline.
Yeah, I think so.
But I also think getting Adley Rutschman, getting an Eric Miller, who's a really good, controllable left-handed reliever, throws 100. You could very easily roll back in a couple years and be like, wow, the Red Sox gave up, a bust in Meyer, and then only one of those pitchers was actually good, and it was just Ianson who was good for Rutschman, and you got a year and a half of Rutschman, and they made a run in the playoffs. It might work out very well. And what I'll say, the additions are impactful for the Red Sox, and that's at least worthy of preventing them from being a biggest loser in this scenario. Tigers saved it at the last hour, I would say, as well. I think trading away Tarek Skubal, while not fully selling, would have been a really big misstep in my opinion. But
I think they
getting Cash Mayfield for Casey Mize at the last hour, that saves face quite a bit.
And I think it probably would have been good for them to have traded away Gleyber Torres as well. Yeah, I think they could have gotten a return for him. But
he's hurt. That's tough to get anything for.
They could have gotten. They might not have gotten a lot for him, but they could have gotten something for him probably.
I didn't hear anything about Jack Flaherty on the market either. He was technically a rental, though he has struggled this season. But he probably could have been had. And then you look at the Tigers. Kenley Jansen hasn't gone. He's 1 year, probably could have swapped over to a team that was looking to
he's got
make a run in the playoffs. Right? Maybe.
I think there's an option on that deal. Yeah, 2027 club option.
Yeah, club option. You're not taking that for a 40-year-old guy. I don't think. You just let him walk. But
I think if I remember right, it's for super cheap though.
Yeah.
But
yeah, the Tigers were. I would leave it at the Tigers are at risk for being the biggest loser here.
Yeah, the thing with the Tigers with the Skubal trade is, I don't think that the package from the Dodgers was going away. That they offered. Why did they do it on Saturday? Why did they not wait? Because once these other guys started flying off the list here, somebody could have offered more to the Tigers or or at least force the Dodgers to up their offer.
Well, so David and I talked about this before you got in. This was right around the beginning of it. The Tigers had three or four different options of trades from the Dodgers. They specifically chose River Ryan and Zaire Hope out of those deals. And the Brewers were not willing to give up Logan Henderson in the deal. So if you're looking at it, we also don't know what the internal evaluations are. They might believe that those are the two best players they were going to get from any team anyways. Mm-hmm. And if you think that's the best you're going to get, then why don't you just take it and not worry about it? Right?
Spoken like the Dodger fan.
No, I mean, I just
I don't disagree, but
we look at all of the packages that went around for rental guys, and we're crying about, oh well, it doesn't feel like enough when it's literally two top 100 prospects that are around the game, and other rental pitchers went for nothing, basically. and we're saying it's not enough. It's not enough because it's who it went to. If the Brewers had given them Luis Pena and Logan Henderson and they took the deal on Saturday, nobody would be saying, oh, why didn't they just wait till Monday? They'd say, great deal by the Brewers. Great job. It's because of who it went to. That's why people are upset about it.
No, I'm just upset they didn't do it today. I think they could have gotten the same deal today and pushed the
What's the
process
point if you think that's
days.
the deal you want to take? Why are you not why delay it?
Because
if that's the deal you want to take.
Make somebody get uncomfortable and
no one else got
force them down there. They might. You never know. You have 2 more days to get teams uncomfortable and push things.
It's very easy for people not in the negotiating rooms to say what the negotiations should be. Obviously, the Tigers didn't think or they, based off their conversations, knew that no one was going to get to the point of giving them the prospects they wanted. And they had the prospects they wanted on the table. Like, it's very easy to say from an outsider's perspective, as guys on the internet, hey, the Tigers should have just waited, but inside the negotiating room, you don't know what it was like. Well, that's why they acquired Fiducia, because Dalton Rushton's going to the IL. That makes sense. At least the Cubs don't have to play him.
Yep.
He probably was going to get hit because he called someone a fat fuck again. I think we're pretty much done.
Yeah,
I was going to say we should call it at 5:30 here.
Yeah, I know we haven't got a tweet for every team. It sounds like Alex Anthopoulos is supposedly speaking to the media in a minute, so that probably means the Braves are done. I don't think did we ever get anything on the White Sox being done?
Not that I saw.
No.
Yeah, but I doubt I doubt there's any more moves that come out unless there's something really late come out.
It would be surprising.
Yeah. So obviously with Kirby and Hancock staying put there in Seattle too. So it'll be interesting to see if they pull Cade up to do a 6-man rotation with him. You still have Sloan as well. But that's big. Pirates place Mitch Keller on the 60-day IL.
Yeah, the thing about the Pirates is they have about 7 MLB caliber starters with Mitch Keller. So oh no, down to 6, I guess. They'll be all right. They definitely addressed their biggest needs. Yeah. I'm guessing if anything comes late here, it'll be one of those like a Andrew Kittredge to somewhere.
Yeah.
Type deal.
It's going to be smaller.
That'd be the last thing here.
Smaller stuff, I would assume.
So we can wind down, wrap up.
But even though we didn't get all the stuff we expected, it still was a crazy deadline. We still had some big time deals. I mean, if we asked a week ago, I don't think we thought Adley Rutschman would get traded. Is that what Fine Sanders say for all the talk this week? Those guys are not being traded.
Yep.
Padres are done. Yeah, I mean, Adley Rutschman's a big deal. Obviously, we got the Tarek Skubal deal, which was in flux until earlier this week, but then it became clear that was going to happen. Surprised the Angels only traded one of their 3 big guys. I really thought it was at least going to be 2.
Right.
I thought for sure Detmer was going to go. I know there was a high ask, but I thought for sure someone would do it. I mean, there's your typical, hey, there's a high ask and maybe teams cave and a team didn't type of move there. So, but I think Neto should have gone too, but I don't know. Looking at it, how do you feel, David?
We'll see. I'm mostly happy with my overall deadline, but yeah, when I look at the deadline as a whole, I think we saw a whole lot of movement. It was, it's very possible next season it's things are completely different when it comes to trading and valuation and stuff. So very nice to have one last day of kind of craziness and chaos before the potential changes here for the CBA. But yeah, very fun.
Matt?
Just I'm honestly in shock that my team did nothing. Like I'm seriously just shocked that yet again we're sitting here and they haven't learned their lesson. And I think that there's a few teams that are feeling that way right now. But it's pretty crazy. I mean, going forward, the rest of the season, I don't know that there was too much that happened at this deadline that just totally moves the needle for any teams, really. I think, I mean, obviously, Skubal is a big deal for the Dodgers, but I don't know that necessarily changes the Dodgers' outlook that much. It's like,
Nope.
The whole thing with the Dodgers is if they get really poor batted ball luck in the NLDS, they might lose. But that was going to happen regardless of whether they had Skubal. I mean, that's the only thing. And then, like the Adley deal's pretty big, but I don't know. It was an interesting deadline. And going forward through the rest of the season, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. And there's so many teams bunched together in both of the wild card races. It's going to be fun to watch. But yeah, interesting stuff. Like I say, I'm pretty out of it right now. I'm disappointed in my team. It really sucks that they didn't do. I actually, for whatever reason, I thought it was going to be different this year. But it wasn't. But it's it is what it is. So.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, we know what the off season's going to bring, so we were kind of hoping this would give us a little bit more to be excited about. But I think it kind of was an underwhelming deadline a little bit in the eyes for most of the league. So now we just got the playoff pushes. Hopefully those bring us some good stories in that, and then we have a good playoff run here before the off season of hell reaches us here. So, but we think pretty much everything is done. If anything pops up after this, we'll cover it on next week's show. But thank you guys for tuning in for this live stream of the trade deadline. We're almost with 3 hours and 45 minutes here. It was a fun thing to do, and we'll catch you guys back next Monday. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the channel, help us out here. We had a ton of fun, and we'll see you guys back next week.